What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 4 milliliters. Chapter 76. Uchiha Xiao is overwhelmingly powerful. Please subscribe. Sasuke stood next to Uchiha Xiao. He looked at Uchiha Xiao curiously, wanting to know what this man had to do. Now Sasuke has a high degree of trust in Uchiha Xiao's strength. Even in the face of the surging shark water bombs, Sasuke did not take a step back. Uchiha Xiao spoke, as coldly and contemptuously as ever. Finally, I have a ninjutsu that I can appreciate. Kisame looked displeased that his strongest ninjutsu was only appreciable in front of Uchiha Xiao. Facing the attack of shark bombs, Uchiha stretched out his arms. Kisame was disdainful in his heart. He felt that Uchiha Xiao was going to use the same technique again, but the impact of his own big shark bullet technique was unmatched. He didn't believe that this technique couldn't beat Uchiha Xiao's Shinra Tensei. However, Uchiha Xiao's method was beyond everyone's expectations. Hungry Kido Sealing Jutsu Seal. A somewhat transparent shield appeared around Uchiha Xiao, and the shark bullet hit the transparent shield. The next second, the surface of the big shark bomb began to collapse, and then it seemed as if something in the shield absorbed all the big gun bombs. In an instant, the huge shark bomb disappeared without even a drop of water remaining. What is this? Kisame was very angry. Every time he used a powerful blow, Uchiha Xiao would use some strange means to resolve it, which made Kisame very unwilling. Itachi was very quick and quickly guessed that this was one of Rinnegan's abilities. Releases powerful repulsion and absorption ninjutsu without chakra fluctuations. Itachi silently memorized these moves of Vice Admiral. The most unbearable thing for Kisame is that his shark bombs can become infinitely stronger by absorbing chakra. No matter what moves the enemy uses, as long as they are equipped with chakra, they will be absorbed instantly. But he didn't expect that his shark bomb not only failed to absorb Uchiha Xiao chakra, but was instead absorbed by Uchiha Xiao. What is this? The way of heaven is reincarnation. Uchiha Xiao stood there, staring at Kisame. However, Kisame no longer had any trump cards at this time. His strongest ninjutsu was given to Uchiha Xiao, just like a pebble dropped into a beard, causing a small ripple and then no more ripples. Itachi watched the entire battle from beginning to end, and had a preliminary assessment of Uchiha Xiao's strength in his mind, that is, he was incredibly strong. Uchiha Xiao's carefree appearance was enough to beat Kisame like this. If he really used his full strength, he might not be able to beat another Kisame. Ha! Uchiha Xiao opened her mouth and let out a long yawn. Shark man, I'm no longer interested in playing with you, Uchiha Xiao said arrogantly. After hearing this, Kisame was furious again, and he roared, "What did you say?" However, before he finished speaking, Uchiha Xiao's figure appeared next to Kisame. So fast. Kisame's shark eyes shrank, and he wanted to turn around and punch, but Uchiha Xiao was faster. Boom. Bang. The half-mermaid Kisame was kicked out. Kisame's body was like a stone floating in the water, rolling several times on the water before stopping. Although it hurt, Kisame immediately got into the water and formed seals with his hands. The water is my home court. Water style. Dumpling bomb technique. The dumpling bomb is different from the shark bomb. Kisame's whole body was covered by the shark water bomb, as if the two merged into one, and launched a powerful blow to Uchiha Xiao. Swordfish is one of the fastest fishes in the ocean, with a maximum speed of 130 km per hour. At this time, Kisame's speed is twice that of swordfish. Feeling the powerful aura coming quickly, Uchiha Xiao clapped his hands. Wood-style wood dragon technique. Boom. A wooden dragon emerged from the surface beneath the water. Wood style. The wooden dragon stopped Kisame, who was moving forward bravely. The wooden dragon was like a lion majesty wrapping around its prey, entangling Kisame with its body. And the water shark bomb also turned into a ball of water under the squeeze of the wooden dragon. Even though he was entangled by the wooden dragon, Kisame didn't panic. He had many ways to escape. Just when he was about to gather chakra to perform ninjutsu, he discovered a terrible thing. Open black lens bracket. His chakra is flowing away. Like a bucket with a hole in it, the water keeps draining away. There's something wrong with this wood style. Kisame shouted. Why hadn't he heard that wood style could absorb chakra? Uchiha Xiao said calmly. It's not that something is wrong, but you know too little. The wooden dragon technique was used by Hashirama to suppress 9 tails. How could it be so simple? Kisame continued to struggle under the restraints of wood dragon. However, the more he struggled, the tighter the restraints of wood dragon became, and the more chakra he lost. Finally, Uchiha Xiao took action. He stabbed Kisame's neck with a black stick, ending Kisame's pain. Kisame fell on the water. Uchiha Xiao took out a scroll and sealed Kisame's body inside. It's not that Uchiha Xiao has any disgusting habits, but he wants to make Kisame into a humanoid puppet-like pain 6 paths. Kisame's good body cannot be wasted. Uchiha Xiao looked at Itachi, who was not far away. When Uchiha Xiao chased Kisame away, Itachi never came to the rescue. Seeing Uchiha Xiao looking over, Itachi suddenly opened his mouth and spit out several small fire balls with great power. Fire-style Phoenix Fire Technique. Bang, bang, bang. The fireball fell, but Uchiha Xiao didn't move. When the smoke and fire light dissipated, Uchiha Xiao was intact. He patted the dust on his body and said nothing. Can't regular ninjutsu work? Itachi's right eye flashed red, and a black flame suddenly rose up on Uchiha Xiao's body. Uchiha Xiao knew that Amaterasu was an unquenchable fire, and he absorbed it with just one Kido 970 sealing seal. Itachi's face darkened. Can it even absorb the fire of Amaterasu? Although he obtained another piece of information, Itachi was not happy in his heart. Instead, he felt sad for the entire ninja world that Uchiha Xiao was invincible in all aspects. Itachi looked at Uchiha Xiao and asked, Uchiha Xiao, what is your purpose? Uchiha Xiao replied, my purpose. It's different from your great ideal of protecting Konoha. I just want my Reina, and then fulfill Reina's wish. Uchiha Reina. Itachi knew this name. Regarding the ninja village system, Uchiha Reina put forward a lot of constructive opinions. It is not an exaggeration to say that she is one of the architects of the current structure of the ninja world. However, because of Uchiha Reina's special identity, Uchiha Xiao's sister, Konoha also kept Uchiha Reina's achievements and deeds in cold storage, making the world unaware of Uchiha Reina's contribution. Do you value your sister very much? Itachi tried to analyze Uchiha Xiao's character in his mind. At this moment, Uchiha Xiao spoke. Boy, are you good or not? Itachi looked at Uchiha Xiao, his thoughts were racing, and the only way now was to show his trump card. But if it fails after being displayed, then I will want to use it again in the future, but there is no such a good time as now. Uchiha Xiao saw Itachi's thoughts and said, stop hiding it, take it out, 10-fist sword. Chapter 77. These eyes are Reina's obsession before she died. Please subscribe. Itachi's face moved slightly, this Uchiha Xiao had given him too many surprises today. Itachi took a deep look at Uchiha Xiao and said, it seems that you know a lot. He was already extremely wary of Uchiha Xiaoshang. The Juken sword is the spiritual weapon worn by Itachi's Susanoo. It is an incorporeal spiritual weapon transformed by chakra, and it is also one of several Kusanagi swords. According to legend, people injured by the 10-fist sword will be, permanently, sealed in the illusion world of Zuimeng. It is a powerful sword with sealing skills, but because of its power, Itachi has never even used it. How did Yazishao know about it? Even if this question was studied deeply, the answer was unconvincing. Itachi finally took a deep look at Sasuke, and then looked at him and Uchiha Xiao. Uchiha Xiao's body froze slightly, and the next second, his consciousness returned to clarity. Tsukuyomi, you have a good pupil technique, you can actually control me for 1 second. Uchiha Xiao expressed sincere admiration. 1 second is a lot that a strong person can do. Itachi used this second to escape from here quickly. Uchiha Xiao felt Itachi's disappearing aura, and he had no intention of chasing after him. Anyway, his goal had been achieved. Xiao, aren't you going to chase him? Sasuke asked anxiously. Although he wanted to defeat Itachi with his own hands, he didn't want Itachi to slip away from his eyes. Looking at the four tails Jinchuriki lying not far away, Uchiha Xiao said lightly. Our goal has been achieved, there is no need to pursue it, and with the current state of my Impure world reincarnation, it is risky to face Itachi's 10-fist sword. 10-fist sword, what on earth is that? Sasuke asked. Uchiha Xiao did not hide any secrets and told Sasuke the information about the Genkan sword. Uchiha Xiao continued. So, as long as I am injured by the Juken sword, it will be sealed by him. There is no need for me to face unnecessary trouble before being fully resurrected. Boom. Sasuke hammered the boulder on the side, and a lot of cracks appeared on the boulder in an instant. An unwilling growl came from Sasuke's mouth. Damn it. I thought that as long as the Mangekyō Sharingan was activated, I could catch up with him a little bit, but I didn't expect that there is still such a big gap. Itachi, who is already so strong, actually has something as divine as the 10-fist sword. Why doesn't this make Sasuke sad, who has been struggling to catch up? When facing Uchiha Itachi just now, Sasuke was crushed. Although there was also a reason for his chakra exhaustion, it could not cover up the huge gap between the two. Whether it was Amaterasu or Tsukuyomi, he couldn't resist. If Uchiha Xiao hadn't come over just now, let alone defeat Itachi, even the tailed beast he had desperately captured would have been taken away. Uchiha Xiao silently looked at the autistic Sasuke without speaking, just when he was about to open the Kamui space and leave the land of Earth. I saw Sasuke walking in front of Uchiha Xiao. Xiao, I want stronger power. I want the power to defeat Itachi. Sasuke's eyes were like fire and he was very determined. Uchiha Xiao glanced at him, and then said, when Itachi dies, you will naturally gain stronger power. Sasuke frowned. What do you mean? Uchiha Xiao replied, Eternal Mangekyō. Eternal. Although he didn't know what it meant, the sound of this word made Sasuke energetic. Uchiha Xiao continued. This is a pupil technique that can only be opened by transplanting another person's Mangekyō Sharingan, and it is not 100% possible. The closer the blood relationship between the two is, the higher the success rate. Once the eternal Mangekyō is successfully obtained, the holder of the eye will no longer have the risk of becoming blind due to excessive use of the eye technique, and the impact of the eye technique on the user's body will be smaller. Quote. Hearing Uchiha Xiao's words, Sasuke was also surprised. In this case, all the shortcomings of Mangekyō can be said to be gone. In theory, the user can use Mangekyō Sharingan forever. No wonder it's called Eternal Mangekyō. If you can get this pupil technique, you won't be blind and in pain when you cast Susanoo, which refreshes Sasuke's spirit. Sasuke continued to ask Uchiha Xiao. Xiao, your eyes are Mangekyō, right? Uchiha Xiao said nothing and acquiesced to Sasuke's question. At this time, for some reason, Sasuke saw a little desolation in his eyes. Then, your eyes. Sasuke seemed to realize something. As he spoke, he observed Uchiha Xiao's expression. Uchiha Xiao knew what Sasuke meant, and he didn't show a cold or angry expression as Sasuke imagined. Uchiha Xiao said calmly, I know what you want to ask. These eyes belong to Reina, my sister, Uchiha Reina. Sasuke said nothing. It was the first time he heard Uchiha Xiao sigh. Uchiha Xiao said, these eyes are Reina's obsession before she died. As he spoke, he fell into memories of the past. At that time, Konoha had already established a village, but due to a dispute between the 5 major villages, Ninetales was extracted from Reina's body, and Uchiha Xiao was not present at the time. When the news came, Reina was already lying on the bed dying. Uchiha Reina was lying on the bed, forcing a forced smile. Brother, I will leave these eyes to you. Uchiha Xiao lowered his head, his black hair covering his eyes, making it impossible to see his expression clearly. He held Reina's hand. I do not need. Seeing Uchiha Xiao's appearance, Reina suddenly laughed. Humph, this is the first time I have seen my brother cry. Uchiha Xiao said nothing. Reina continued. Brother, do you still remember what we said in front of the fish pond? We agreed to bring peace to Uchiha. Uchiha Xiao nodded. Those days were almost the happiest days of his life. He and Reina discussed the future of the ninja world every day. Both of them had almost bright hopes for the future. Then I hope that my brother can inherit these eyes for my last wish and bring peace to Uchiha. Uchiha Xiao looked at Reina. Reina's usually well-behaved and kind face showed unprecedented determination. Finally, under the gaze of his sister, Uchiha nodded heavily. The candlelight beside the bed also swayed inexplicably at this moment. The scene returns to reality. Uchiha Xiao came back from the memory and said to Sasuke, let's go. Then he left without looking back. Looking at Uchiha Xiao's figure, Sasuke was stunned for a while, and then followed him. Uchiha Xiao, who was just remembering, had a tenderness in his eyes that could melt ice. After staying with Uchiha Xiao for so long, Sasuke has never seen such an emotion in him. It seems that tenderness is an emotion reserved exclusively for Reina by Uchiha Xiao. Buzz. When the Kamui space opened, Uchiha Xiao was no longer there. Sasuke picked up the unconscious Four Tails Jinchuriki and walked in. Chapter 78. Gedo statue was robbed. Please subscribe. Returning to the base, Sasuke threw the Four Tails Jinchuriki on the ground and then sat down cross-legged. Sasuke was very tired from today's battle. Okay, now is the next step. Uchiha Xiao murmured, then formed a seal with his hands. Summoning technique Gedo statue. In an instant, the earth shook, and a statue full of evil nature broke out of the ground with a huge crack. This statue looks like a huge humanoid with 9 closed eyes. Its color and body are like dead wood, with a pillar protruding from its back. A strange and gloomy aura spread out, and even a strong man like Tsunade felt his soul tremble. What is this? Sasuke swallowed. Gedo statue. Said. Uchiha Xiao continued to form seals. The 9 seals of the magic dragon are over. Following the success of the spell, Gedo statue's mouth opened wide, and then a purple chakra dragon emerged from Gedo statue's mouth. The purple dragon ran towards the Four Tails Jinchuriki lying on the ground. The next second, Lao Zi's whole body was wrapped by the purple dragon and floated up. The red-tailed beast chakra overflowed from his 7 orifices and was sucked towards the Gedo statue. This is not over yet. Uchiha Xiao continues to use a secret technique that allows the tailed beasts to be sucked out of the Gedo statue by Uchiha Xiao summoning. Tsunade looked at Gedo statue blankly. What exactly is Gedo statue? It can even absorb tailed beasts that are like natural disasters. She couldn't believe it. All the villages in the ninja world used seals to deal with tailed beasts. She had never heard of such a thing as absorbing 007. Gedo statue is the shell of 10 tails. Sasuke and Tsunade were both a little confused. Everyone knew that there were 9 tailed beasts, so why did you create a 10 tails? 10 tails. Aren't there only 9 tailed beasts in the world? Tsunade asked. However, the current Uchiha Xiao has no intention of answering. Even though 10 tails is the source of chakra and the sacred tree of Otsutsuki, in his eyes, it is still just a container for the tailed beast. Also, get a 10 tails Jinchuriki out. Of course, Uchiha Xiao disdains Jinchuriki who became a tailed beast, and besides, Jinchuriki will die if he loses his tailed beast. Uchiha Xiao turned his attention to Sasuke, and he planned to make Sasuke become 10 tails Jinchuriki. Although Sasuke has a very rebellious character and may rebel, but since Uchiha Xiao can give him power, he can naturally take away his power. Bang! Another body was thrown to the ground. Tsunade asked in confusion, Jinchuriki again? No. Uchiha Xiao then threw out a few more black sticks. He wanted to use Kisame to make a puppet tool like Pain's 6 paths. Uchiha Xiao issued an order. Let the black stick establish a neural link with him. Tsunade was confused, but continued the neural link experiment. Now that she no longer has anemia, she has not had an operation for a long time. The previous Rinnegan transplant was just a minor operation, but now that she has seen such a major operation as a neural link, unknowingly. Tsunade had some excitement. Seeing Tsunade enthusiastically carrying Kisame's body for experiments, Sasuke couldn't help but shudder. The scene shifts to the Akatsuki organization base. Akatsuki organization base at this time. The other members of the Akatsuki organization have gone on missions, and only Obito and Tendo Pain are left in the base. Obito sits on the head of the Gedo statue, carrying the 5 tails Jinchuriki Han on his back. Plop. Han's body was smashed in front of Pain. Obito said, Steam Ninja, you have suffered a lot, absorb the tailed beast, Pain. Pain nodded. Rinnegan emitted a strange light, and he could see his hands forming seals. The 9 seals of the magic dragon are over. At the moment when the Gedo statue spewed out the purple dragon, the entire Gedo statue suddenly disappeared. Obito fell immediately from midair, and then looked at the place where Gedo statue disappeared. Pain was also very confused, but he still formed a seal with his hands, hoping to summon the Gedo statue back. Pain said, No, I have lost contact with Gedo statue. Upon hearing Pain's words, Obito immediately thought of a person. That person was the only person in the world who owned a Rinnegan. Uchiha Xiao. Obito blurted out Uchiha Xiao's name. His face was extremely gloomy. If Pain hadn't been unable to express his expression, he might have looked ugly at the moment. After Uchiha Xiao was born, Project Tasuki no Mi had not made any substantial progress for a long time. The tailed beast couldn't catch Uchiha Xiao, and even the Gedo statue was taken away by Uchiha Xiao. The entire base was filled with a strange and chilling atmosphere. Obito stood up from the ground and walked outside, walking slowly but with murderous intent. CBBJ. The genin of Konoha held a party at the famous barbecue restaurant, Yakiniku Q, and all the 12 young masters were present. Neji, congratulations on becoming a Chunin. Guy clinked the wine glass with Neji to celebrate Neji becoming a Chunin. Neji also smiled and raised his drink to clink the glass with his teammates and teachers, and then drank it down in one gulp. Yuhi Kurenai on the side was also praising the team's performance, especially little Sakura, especially her talent for illusion. You know, the 3 students she led all had family secrets, and her illusion skills were completely useless. Only when little Sakura came, Yuhi Kurenai truly felt that she was a teacher. Teacher, don't be too partial to little Sakura. Ya said with a bit of complaint. Yuhi Hong also scratched her head in embarrassment. Asuma has a deep relationship between master and disciple. He wanted to praise his teacher, but he looked at Choji who was showing off his meat crazily, Ino who was mediocre, and Shikamaru who looked lazy. Asuma thought for a long time but couldn't think of any words of praise, so he picked up his chopsticks and joined Choji. Little Sakura was eating meat, and after feeling happy, she felt endless worries again. Although she also feels that she is slowly getting stronger, and her talent for illusion has been well explored. But she knew that it was not enough to catch up with Naruto and Sasuke. In fact, the gap between her and the two was gradually widening. Seeing little Sakura's appearance, everyone knew what little Sakura was thinking, and the atmosphere of the party was a bit awkward for a while. At this time Asuma spoke. He said, Don't think about that kid Sasuke anymore. I heard from 5th generation that Sasuke successfully captured 4 tails Jinchuriki under the command of Uchiha Xiao. His strength can't be compared to mine. Huh, a white puff of smoke puffed out from Asuma's mouth, and he continued, even Sasuke may already have the strength of a shadow. Everyone listened to Asuma's speech, feeling that Sasuke had reached the point of no return, and marveling at Sasuke's rapid progress in strength. Kurenai Yuhi said, Sasuke, who was just a genin some time ago, is making such rapid progress now, is probably because of Uchiha Xiao. The purpose of this conversation between the two is to get little Sakura to abandon her fantasies, focus on reality, and stop chasing that illusory goal. I won't give up, Sakura said firmly. Naruto promised me to bring Sasuke back, and he is also training outside for this purpose, so I will not give up my efforts. Little Sakura said decisively, her eyes showing unprecedented determination. Everyone was speechless, and the only sound left in the barbecue restaurant was the sound of sizzling meat. Even Choji stopped holding the chopsticks in his hands. The atmosphere fell into an eerie silence. At this moment, Guy's exclamation broke the awkwardness. Ah, the barbecue is going to burn. After everyone heard this, they quickly picked up the barbecue on the iron net, and the atmosphere returned to the warm atmosphere just now. Just when everyone was enjoying their meal, a strong chakra wave suddenly came. The powerful chakra is filled with coldness and is spread throughout the barbecue shop. Chapter 79. Uchiha Xiao is here. Please subscribe. Chapter 64. Uchiha Xiao arrives. Whose chakra is this? All the genin thought that this chakra was powerful and cold, an extraordinary ninja. Shino stretched out his hand, and several parasitic bugs crawled out of his sleeves. He said, "My bugs are trembling." Asuma and the other jonin looked at each other. This chakra was very familiar to them. Uchiha Xiao. At the same time, the alarm in the village suddenly sounded, and all the ninjas suddenly became energetic. This was Konoha's first level alarm. The last time it sounded was when Orochimaru invaded Konoha. As long as this alarm sounds, all ninjas, whether on vacation or not, will enter a state of combat readiness, and all civilians will hide in shelters. Hokage Yanyan, Uchiha Xiao is sitting on Hashirama's Yanyan head at this time. The bustling streets, row upon row of houses, and the city walls of the Takawa building are all what made Konoha the leader of the Five Kingdoms. The familiar scene brought back Uchiha Xiao's memories. Thinking back to those days, he and Reina, as well as Hashirama and Madara, were also where Uchiha Xiao was standing at this time. They looked at the vast plains with endless pride in their hearts. He vowed to bring peace to the ninja world. If something like that hadn't happened to Reina, Uchiha Xiao murmured. His eyes flashed a few times, and he touched his face. The cracks on his face warned him that he was still just an undead from the Pure Land. "Aren't you coming out yet?" Uchiha Xiao said loudly. As soon as he finished speaking, a large number of ninjas wearing Konoha vests surrounded Uchiha Xiao. More than 100 Chunin and a dozen Jonin, including Hokage Kakashi and Jiraiya, also appeared. In Uchiha Xiao's perception, a huge amount of chakra gathered behind him. "The battle is not small," Uchiha Xiao said with his back to the ninjas behind him. Kakashi looked at Uchiha Xiao and was very wary. This is the ninja that Konoha can mobilize the fastest at present, but Kakashi still thinks that this is not enough. Asuma held a cigarette in his mouth and looked at Uchiha Xiao seriously. "Uchiha Xiao, you have committed so many crimes, please be arrested as soon as possible. The will of fire is endless." Uchiha Xiao's cold voice spread throughout the ranks of ninjas. Everyone did not understand why Uchiha Xiao said these words, and even wondered whether Uchiha Xiao had activated some secret technique with these words. Uchiha Xiao continued. "Do you know who said this in the first place?" Everyone looked at each other, not daring to answer Uchiha Xiao's question easily. Jiraiya took a step forward and said, "Don't tell me, this is what you said." This sentence is a creed that Konoha village has always believed in. Many ninjas use this sentence as their own ninja way. It would be very ironic if this sentence came from Uchiha Xiao, a public enemy of the ninja world. Uchiha Xiao kept saying, "The Uchiha clan is a clan that makes good use of fire style. Only we can observe the relationship between fire and shadow in the burning flames. This is exactly what I told Hashirama." Kakashi knew a lot of secrets in the village after becoming a Hokage, and naturally knew Uchiha Xiao's contribution to the village, so Kakashi naturally believed what Uchiha Xiao said. Kakashi asked sternly, "Since you created the will of fire, why don't you stick to this will and endanger the village now?" Uchiha Xiao sighed. Kakashi and Jiraiya looked at each other. Would the arrogant Uchiha Xiao also sigh like this? Call. The breeze blew, and a leaf flew over. Uchiha Xiao stretched out his hand to pinch it, and then he spoke slowly. "I was naive once." Uchiha Xiao once believed that as a time traveler and knowing the plot, he could change the entire ninja world. He first proposed the idea of a ninja village with Hashirama and Madara. Because of the time travelers, the concept of ninja village was very rigorous. Hashirama and Madara also supported Uchiha Xiao very much. They quickly established the village. The village was even more peaceful and prosperous than in the plot. Uchiha Xiao also planned to spend his life leisurely with Reina. At that time, he also wanted to live as long as possible and then participate in the plot. Holding the leaves, Uchiha Xiao kept saying, "The most powerful force in the ninja world is not me, Uchiha Xiao, but the darkness of the human heart. My innocence paid a heavy price for this, and I also killed myself with my own hands, killing that innocent self." Quote. Uchiha Xiao, who abandoned her innocence, became more powerful than ever without any worries, even surpassing Madara and Hashirama. Now, he has only one goal, and that is to move towards Reina's wish. No matter who the enemy is and how many people will die, he will unswervingly move towards the goal. Jiraiya crossed his arms and said, "I don't know what your ideal is, but I only know that what you do to realize your ideal is wrong. You are happy to vent your anger against the entire ninja world. Please give me flowers." Uchiha Xiao opened his hand, and the broken leaves shot up to the sky under the wind. Why people's hearts are dark? Because people can never understand each other. After Uchiha Xiao finished speaking, a powerful chakra burst out from his body. Uchiha Xiao's chakra seemed to turn into substance and spread out, and the Japanese Chunin even had difficulty breathing due to this force. Holding the powerful chakra, Jiraiya took another step forward and said, "Since you are the founder of the will of fire, you should understand the importance of inheriting the will of fire." Uchiha Xiao stood up and faced the ninjas behind him. He opened his arms and his voice suddenly increased. "The only things that can be passed down are hatred and power. At this point, it's time to hand over 9 tails. Point 0. This time Uchiha Xiao came here to complete the last step of the resurrection plan. Yagura has already completed the integration with Rinnegan. As long as the last step is completed, he can be fully resurrected. Don't even think about it. Kakashi waved his hand and said loudly. The ninjas also knew that the negotiations had broken down and were ready to fight. Uchiha Xiao formed the seal almost instantly. Fire style extinguished the fire. Boom. A large amount of flames spurted out from Uchiha Xiao's mouth. Seeing the large amount of flames coming like an ocean, hundreds of ninjas formed seals together. Water style water barrier. The water style released by hundreds of ninjas was very huge. The two collided, and the high temperature steam filled the air instantly. Wind style. The wind is dancing wildly. Someone used wind style to blow away the steam, and then everyone discovered that Uchiha Xiao's figure had rushed to the front of the formation. Facing Uchiha Xiao's punch, a ninja crossed his arms in defense, but the punch was too powerful and directly broke the man's arm bones. Several ninja swords were protruded from the side. Uchiha Xiao jumped up suddenly, and then stepped hard on the ground. Click. The sound of gold and iron breaking was endless. Several ninja swords were all broken, and the ninjas holding the swords were also dislocated. There are also people who claim to be good at physical skills and fought against Uchiha Xiao, but they were killed by Uchiha Xiao using physical skills within 5 seconds. Behind the ninja, Jiraiya looked at Kakashi and Guy and said, Kakashi, Guy, give me 3 minutes. With that said, Jiraiya sat down cross-legged. Kakashi knew that Jiraiya wanted to accumulate natural energy. He looked at the dying Konoha compatriots. He jumped up and flew towards Uchiha Xiao. Chapter 80. Tengai Shinsei. Please subscribe. Lightning style Reikiri. Kakashi condensed powerful thunder and lightning, and his whole body turned into a stream of light and flew towards Uchiha Xiao. Snapped. Uchiha Xiao grabbed Kakashi's wrist firmly, and then said, with your strength, you are not qualified to bear the name of Kage. Kakashi said, really, I just need to attract your attention. Whoosh. The black stick appeared in Uchiha Xiao's hand, raising his hand to stab Kakashi to death. At this moment, a strong air flow swept from behind. Leaf hurricane. Boom. Uchiha Xiao flew backwards and then landed firmly. Unexpectedly, Kakashi, as a shadow, actually acted as a bait and let Might Guy act as the main attacker. This strategy is good, but these tricks cannot make up for the gap in strength between the two and Uchiha Xiao. At this moment, a figure came with the fragrant wind. Illusion. Absolute lotus flower. A huge lotus flower suddenly appeared on Uchiha Xiao's feet. A powerful shackles force came over, and then the lotus flower began to slowly close. Uchiha Xiao knows this technique. This is Yuhihong's special skill. As long as the lotus flowers are all closed, the lotus flower will explode, causing a lot of damage. Watching the lotus flowers on his body slowly closing, Uchiha Xiao was not in a hurry, but said to Yuhihong. Your illusions are indeed breathtaking, but in front of these eyes, everything is in vain. Blood-red eyes looked at Yuhihong. Sharingan illusion. Illusion rebound. Kurenai Yuhi suddenly discovered that the lotus flower that was originally on Uchiha Xiao's body was transferred to her body, and she quickly unlocked the illusion. The time it took Kurenai Yuhi to unlock the illusion was enough for Uchiha Lien to kill her. Uchiha Xiao stretched out her hand to grab Yuhihong's neck. Chakra knife Shinichimonji. A sharp blue light flashed past, and Uchiha Xiao jumped up and launched a 760 kick. Bang. Asuma, who was secretly attacking, was kicked away by Uchiha Xiao, but Yuhi Kurenai also escaped. At this moment, Uchiha Xiao found a wound on his cheek. Uchiha Xiao sneered. HMPH, not bad, it can hurt me. The next second, the scratches on his face disappeared instantly. For such wounds, relying on Impure world reincarnation to naturally recover quickly. At this time, Uchiha Xiao sensed a strange calendar coming from the distance. Sage mode. He remembered Senju Hashirama's free senjutsu. That's it. Jiraiya shouted in the distance. Feeling the power on his body, Jiraiya jumped up to Uchiha Xiao. Sage Art Frog Kumite. A punch full of magic, with extremely powerful power. However, facing this punch, Uchiha Xiao was not weak at all, and stretched out a punch to face it. Just a roar was heard, and strong wind exploded between the two fists. Jiraiya couldn't believe it. This punch was full of magic, even Raikage's lightning-style armor didn't dare to resist it. How could Uchiha Xiao have such great power? Just when Uchiha Xiao was about to launch a counterattack, an earth wall blocked Uchiha Xiao. The next second, high earth walls were raised around Uchiha Xiao. Uchiha Xiao sneered. How come your playing style is the same as Miss Shinobi's? No one answered. Jiraiya immediately performed the ninjutsu after getting away. Earth-style yellow Senuma. The hard land instantly turned into mud. With the blessing of magic, the mud surged and set off a big wave that covered Uchiha Xiao. Seeing this, Jiraiya also pursued the victory and summoned 2 Toad Sages. Shima Sennin. Fukasaku Sennin. They had fought many times, and Jiraiya knew what to do with just one look. I saw 2 Toad Sage jumping on Jiraiya's shoulders. Jiraiya spits out toad oil, Fukasaku spits out fire style, and Shima spits out wind style. The 3 combined form a powerful combination of ninjutsu. Sage Art Gomon. The 3 converged into a hell-like flame. Thousands of degrees of high temperature caused the flame to turn from red to dazzling white, and the heat wave almost distorted the space. What a powerful fire style. If it's Jiraiya-sama's fire style, it will definitely work. The ninjas bet their hopes on Jiraiya's senjutsu fire style, and the flames are really impressive. Under the high temperature, the originally muddy and sticky swamp turned into the most dry and cracked soil. And Uchiha Xiao's figure completely disappeared. Everyone stared at the dry swamp, but saw no movement at all. Even Uchiha Xiao's chakra, which was filled with a cold aura, was gone. The ninjas of Konoha cheered. Jiraiya-sama is so awesome. Finally solved this evil Uchiha Xiao. Surrounded by cheers, Jiraiya was far less relaxed than Konoha shinobi. He had faced Uchiha Xiao's strength, and he felt uneasy in his heart. He felt that simply doing this could not solve Uchiha Xiao. Might Guy, who is usually the most arrogant, did not show a smile. He had crushed Uchiha Xiao's Susanoo and knew how ridiculous Uchiha Xiao's defense was. Sure enough, a cold and dull breath came out, making everyone feel breathless. No, it can't be. A ninja shed a cold sweat. Kakashi looked at the swamp attentively. Yes, Uchiha Xiao has not been solved. A very strong force is about to break through the ground. Boom. A huge blood-red giant rose from the ground. The hard Karadengu armor was worn on Susanoo. The tall figure gave off a huge sense of oppression, which even caused some ninjas to lose their fighting ability. Susanoo, the third form. Uchiha Xiao said in a contemptuous voice. Your cooperation is perfect, but no matter how perfect a fly is, it is still a fly, and it can be killed with just a wave of your hand. Hearing Uchiha Xiao's unabashed ridicule, the ninjas of Konoha were angry, but Uchiha Xiao's strength prevented them from attacking. At this time when morale was low, Jiraiya said, Don't be afraid, everyone, we have hired a powerful helper. Might Guy and others cast doubtful looks, but Jiraiya didn't say anything, but looked at Kakashi. This helper came to him on his own initiative. At that time, he was wearing a black robe and met with Kakashi, and finally the cooperation was finalized. The man in black robe was also the key to sealing Uchiha Xiao. Uchiha Xiao didn't care what experts they invited, he quietly watched what other tricks the Konoha gang could do. Jiraiya said to several Jonin including Kakashi and Might Guy, we have to destroy Susanoo in one go so that we can get close to Uchiha Xiao while Uchiha Xiao is repaired with chakra. Everyone nodded. The ninja present, Jiraiya, had the highest combat power, so they were naturally willing to follow Jiraiya's arrangements. At this time, as time passed, some ninjas who had just been away from Konoha also arrived one after another, sensing more and more chakra aura around them, but Uchiha Xiao remained unmoved. Nara Shikaku came to the battlefield, and as the resourceful general, he quickly gained command of the ninja. He first arranged for ninjas who could use wind style to go out together. There are not many ninjas in Konoha village who can use wind style. There are only about 30 ninjas out of hundreds. Under the command of Shikaku, they all used the most basic wind style ninjutsu on Susanoo. Wind style great breakthrough. Dozens of powerful cyclones swept towards Susanoo. Shikaku immediately waved his big hand, and another group of ninjas jumped out from the side, spitting out streams of flames from their mouths. Fire style dragon fire technique. Combination of two, wind assists fire. The combination of the two ninjutsus produced a terrifying power, and the billowing flames rushed towards Susanoo. The combination of the two produces a powerful force, emitting a power of 1 + 1 far greater than 2. The powerful combined ninjutsu was even more powerful than the powerful fire that Uchiha Xiao had just displayed. The strong fire style instantly submerged the entire Susanoo. Uchiha Xiao was inside Susanoo, and all he could see were leaping flames. Even Susanoo was shaking under the flames. Click. In an instant, several terrifying cracks appeared on Susanoo. Seeing that the attack was effective, the ninjas couldn't help but feel happy. Uchiha Xiao twisted his neck, and soon, the cracks on Susanoo's face began to heal slowly. He doesn't care about these cracks at all. As long as it's not an attack like Might Guy's that causes huge damage at once, he can heal Susanoo infinitely with the Impure World Reincarnation property. The cold voice of Uchiha Xiao spread to the ears of all ninjas. The so-called combination skills must at least reach this level. After saying that, Uchiha Xiao made the yin seal with both hands. Fire style. Dragon fire technique. Then the hands quickly changed into another seal. Wind style vacuum Dayama. The blazing flames condensed into a majestic dragon head, and then a ball of violently rotating wind poured into the fire dragon. Boom. The faucet instantly became several times larger, and its speed increased by more than one level. Seeing this scene, many ninjas began to form water style seals in a panic, and Ju immediately shouted, Don't use water style to defend. Use earth style. The ninjas were a little confused. After all, the laws of water style and fire style had long been engraved in their hearts, but they did not dare to disobey Shikaku's orders. Earth style wall. Hundreds of people slapped the ground together, and the ground shook. With a roar, the earth style, as tall as a city wall, was displayed. With the blessing of the vacuum jade, the fire dragon was very fast, piercing the field wall like a missile. The fire dragon did not explode when it pressed against the earth wall. Slowly, The surface of the earth wall was burned red by the fire dragon, and the earth wall even deformed and bent. With an explosion, a large hole appeared in the earth wall. Fortunately, the fire dragon also disappeared at this time. However, although the fire dragon was blocked, its full power and fire still injured many Konoha shinobi. Dozens of seriously injured ninjas were removed and sent to Konoha Hospital. It seems he is the resourceful general. Uchiha Xiao looked at Shikaku with a little admiration. If he had just blocked it according to the concept of water overcoming fire, then high-temperature water vapor would inevitably evaporate. Then the wind style hidden behind the fire dragon will spread the water vapor throughout the battlefield. Hundreds of ninjas will be burned and seriously injured, and Konoha's strength will be greatly reduced. However, his plan seemed to be seen through by the resourceful general of Konoha. Shikaku continued to issue commands, and then sent wind-style and fire-style ninjas to perform combined ninjutsu. The purpose of what he did just now was to test Susanoo's hardness. He observed the cracks on Susanoo's body from the burst of flames. He found that Uchiha Xiao's Susanoo's ribs had the most cracks. From this, Shikaku judged that Susanoo's weak point was in the ribs. After deducing this, he quickly arranged for Might Guy to lie dormant aside, waiting for the opportunity. A combination of ninjutsu surged forward, this time with the addition of Jiraiya's fire style. An explosion. Afterwards, there were many more cracks on Susanoo than before. Uchiha Xiao was about to heal Susanoo when the next second, a strong air flow suddenly appeared from the side. Might Guy appeared. Facing Uchiha Xiao, Might Guy directly used the strongest attack below 8 gate. Hitora. With one punch, the powerful air cannon formed into a tiger head shape and hit Susanoo's ribs hard. Click. There was a frightening sound of breaking, and a hole was made in Susan's ribs by Hiruta. However, Hakutora did not disappear after defeating Susanoo, and the majestic white tiger rushed straight towards Uchiha Xiao in Susanoo. When Uchiha Xiao closes and opens, Rinnegan emits a mesmerizing light. Seeing those lavender eyes, Might Guy was slightly startled, but he still punched out without hesitation. The white air flow reached in front of his face, and the strong wind blew Uchiha Xiao's hair extremely messy. Shinra Tensang. A forward shock wave erupted in front of Uchiha Xiao, but after meeting the shock wave, Might Guy was not ejected, and his fist remained in place. Uchiha Xiao was slightly shocked. Might Guy actually relied on Hiruto's forward momentum to forcefully pull away the impact of Shinra Tensang. Uchiha Xiao smiled, and kicked Might Guy's attack direction away. Boom. The day tiger hit the land not far away, and the ground with a radius of 100 meters suddenly collapsed. Although Might Guy's second attack failed to achieve results, Susanoo's defense was broken into pieces, which was a good time for the Konoha shinobi to attack. Sage Art Messy Lion Hair Technique. At this moment, a bunch of strong white hair suddenly struck and tied one of Susan's hands. Then the bunch of white hair suddenly moved, and relying on the strong elastic potential of the hair, Jiraiya flew towards Susanoo at a speed that he could never reach at ordinary times. Sage Art Big Ball Rasengan. You can't hide now, can you? Jiraiya knew that every time Shinra Tensang was released, there was a cooldown period of several seconds, and just now Jiraiya specially used the random lion hair technique to accelerate the attack on Uchiha Xiao. I just want to use the cooldown period of Shinra Tensang as much as possible to cause more damage to Uchiha Xiao. Look how you hide this time. Jiraiya yelled. However, Uchiha Xiao's face was very indifferent. He stretched out his hand as he spoke. It seems that your information is not enough. Hungry Kido Sealing Jutsu Seal. As a transparent cover appeared, Big Ball Rasengan's chakra quickly disappeared. Jiraiya was shocked for a moment, and his technique was absorbed. The ninjas outside were also 4.4 shocked. In their view, Jiraiya's Big Ball Rasengan disappeared out of thin air at the moment it was about to hit Uchiha Xiao. Shikaku and Asuma looked at this scene with solemn expressions. Asuma, as a Jonin with rich combat experience, saw some clues. Asuma said, Jiraiya-sama's Rasengan seems to have been absorbed. Can you still absorb ninjutsu? Rinnegan, it's such a troublesome thing. As he said that, Shikaku silently recorded another piece of information about Rinnegan in his mind. Because the ninjutsu was absorbed, Jiraiya, who was unable to defend himself, was kicked away by Uchiha Xiao. Although this kick was powerful and heavy, Jiraiya did not suffer much damage due to his magic. And after knocking Jiraiya away, other attacks did not stop. Boom. A crack appeared on the ground under his feet, and then Kakashi, holding a Reikiri, emerged from the ground and pointed directly at Uchiha Xiao's heart. Whoosh. Reikiri stabbed through, leaving only an afterimage in the open space, and Uchiha Xiao had already used the body flicker technique to reach the other side. Uchiha Xiao looked at Jiraiya and said, I didn't expect you to know some of Rinnegan's weaknesses. He could feel that the attacks just now were surrounding him. Hit the weak point. Jiraiya said, we are not idle. We have heard a lot of information about you outside. He and Shikaku, based on the information about Uchiha Xiao's brief use of the Rinnegan, deduced some of the Rinnegan's weaknesses. Uchiha Xiao chuckled and said, with your understanding, how many weaknesses can you know about Rinnegan? Kakashi held the kunai, and the kunai was glowing with electricity. As long as there is a weakness, there will be hope. Uchiha Xiao made an inexplicable smile. I hope so, then it's up to me to break this hope. After saying that, Susanoo condensed again. Uchiha Xiao and Susanoo formed seals together. The technique was completed. Uchiha Xiao said the name of the technique calmly. Tengai Shinsei. Chapter 81. What about the second one? Please subscribe. Chapter 67. What about the second one? Hearing Uchiha Xiao say the name of the technique, Kakashi and others searched their minds but couldn't find any trace of this technique in their minds. You are the first to receive this technique. Feel honored, ninjas of Konoha. Uchiha Xiao's voice came over. Hearing Uchiha Xiao's words, a sense of crisis slowly arose in the hearts of several people. The technique Uchiha Xiao performed must be extremely dangerous. At this time, the ninjas present found a shadow covering them. Is it a dark cloud? With such questions, the ninjas turned their eyes to the sky. Clang! The long sword in a ninja's hand fell to the ground. Hey, Jiro, what are you doing? Pick up the knife, his companion said quickly when he saw this. However, the man named Jiro was staring at the sky. His companion also looked up to the sky, and he was also stunned. All the ninjas raised their necks and stared straight at the sky. Sweat slipped from his forehead into Asuma's eyes. Asuma remained unmoved, his eyes pointed straight at the sky. Many ninjas dropped their weapons and even collapsed on the ground crying. Is this really a ninjutsu? Yuhi Hong fell into great hesitation. At this moment, Kakashi's loud shout pulled everyone out of their sorrow. Crush this meteorite first, then let's talk about the rest, Kakashi said as he condensed Reikiri. Might Guy felt the discomfort in his body, but he still used Day Tiger and attacked the meteorite. Jiraiya made the big ball Rasengan. Many more determined ninjas began to release ninjutsu and attack the meteorites. Finally, under the repeated attacks, some cracks appeared on the bottom of the meteorite. Shikaku quickly commanded. Everyone, use Earth Style to block this meteorite. Fortunately, there are many people in Konoha who can use Earth Style, and hundreds of ninjas walked out, forming seals with their hands. Then pillars rose up from the ground and were thrown back to the top of the meteorite. Most of the pillars shattered as soon as they hit the meteorite, but in the end, it still slowed down the meteorite's falling speed. Seeing this, Jiraiya summoned the two Toad brothers directly. As soon as Todian and Toadgong came out, they looked up and saw the meteorite that had almost reached their eyebrows. Meteorite. Hey, Jiraiya, are you kidding too much? Jiraiya said. I will explain to you later. In short, this is a technique performed by Uchiha Xiao. Please help me for a while. Did you kill Uchiha Xiao, the elder brother? The two Toads also noticed Uchiha Xiao. The enemy who killed his brother was not far away. Although they were angry, they still helped Jiraiya to hold up the meteorite. Afterwards, many more stone pillars rose from the ground, and finally, the meteorite was held up by the stone pillars and toads. The Konoha shinobi narrowly escaped death and cheered as if the war had been won. At this moment, Uchiha Xiao spoke. As expected of a united Konoha, what will you do with the second one? There was another familiar roar in the sky, and the next second, dense clouds began to stir. The next second, the thick white clouds suddenly swayed, and another meteorite came one after another, and this one was bigger than the previous one. The second one. No, I can't run away now. All the morale and fighting spirit of hundreds of ninjas were gone. Uchiha Xiao, they had always thought that Uchiha Xiao was just a very dangerous person. But two meteorites fell, shattering their inner luck. Some ninjas had a nervous breakdown and burst into inexplicable laughter. God. Yes, this is like the power of God. How can the power of God be disobedient? The morale of the ninjas reached its lowest point. A jingle sounded and weapons were thrown to the ground. Jiraiya can escape, as long as the toads go back and use the reverse summoning technique to summon Jiraiya to Mount Myoboku, but what about the other ninjas in the village? Even if they exhaust their chakra, they can't escape the range of the meteorite. Jiraiya yelled. Don't be discouraged. Since we resisted the first one, we can also resist the second one. Jiraiya's encouragement was feeble. Even if the ninjas were determined to resist now, they had already exhausted their chakra when they resisted the first meteorite, and were no longer able to resist the meteorite. Ah, youth. Might Guy roared, and the blue steam on his body became stronger and stronger. Zaihu. Another powerful punch hit the sky. Jiraiya gritted his teeth, condensed another big ball Rasengan in his hand, and blasted it towards the meteorite. Kakashi still has a lot of chakra, and another shot of Reikiri is condensed in his hand. Since Sharingan was taken away, Kakashi's chakra is not as stretched as before. Kakashi glanced at the village not far away, and murmured in his mouth, it seems that it is time for me to fulfill my Hokage obligations, third generation, teacher. He looked at the falling meteorite, a trace of determination flashed in his eyes. In an instant, the Reikiri lightning in his hand became even brighter, even faintly revealing a purple light. Come, also. The two toads struggled to hold up the two meteorites with their hands, their webs trembling, and there were already signs of spider web-like fragmentation on the ground under their feet. Jiraiya said, if you really can't hold on anymore, just go back. The two toads did not answer, but still raised their hands. There are also some ninjas who still have chakra underneath. They release various ninjutsu and sparsely hit the meteorite, completely losing the momentum they had when they resisted the first one. Uchiha Xiao used the universal pull to fly in the air, looking down at the ninja beings below. Uchiha Xiao murmured. The will of fire fell apart instantly in the face of powerful strength. As I said, the only things that can be passed on are hatred and strength. Point 227. At this moment, a sudden change occurred, and an old voice suddenly sounded. Ultra-light heavy rock technique. As soon as the words fell, the two toads felt their hands light up, as if someone had cut off a large piece of the meteorite, and they were no longer as labored as before. A short old man flew over and looked at the demoralized Konoha shinobi on the ground. Although he was also frightened by the Tengai Shinsei technique, he still said, "It's really embarrassing, the ninjas of Konoha." With that said, the old man flew under the meteorite, and Yingxi and others also saw the old man. "Tsuchikage-sama, if you come a little later, we will be finished," Kakashi said helplessly. Onoki said, "My body is old and I walk a little slower." "Don't mind, Hokage-sama." Kakashi shook his head. What else could he ask for if someone else came to help? As Onoki put his hand on the meteorite, the ultra-light heavy rock technique reached its maximum, and the meteorite fell slower and slower. The two toads also felt a lot more relaxed. At this time, another helper came over, and suddenly they saw yellow sand flying all over the sky. The sand gathered into two huge palms, and the palms flew towards the meteorite, making a lifting motion. Finally, the two meteorites finally stopped. Not far away, Uchiha Xiao, who was watching in midair, was puzzled. The two-dimensional scale Onoki actually came to. The relationship between Konoha and Rock Shinobi has never been good. Chapter 82. Kage, Tsuchikage supports. Please subscribe. The ninjas looked up blankly, wondering who had saved them. Under the huge shadow, it was difficult to see who the person was. Finally, someone recognized the two people. It's Tsuchikage 2 scales Onoki and Kage Gaara. Great. Saved. Great. It's actually two shadows. Two shadows came to help. In the eyes of the ninjas, this was enough combat power to turn the tide of the battle. However, while feeling relieved, some people also expressed doubts. Although Sunagakur had invaded Konoha before, Sunagakur had always been an ally of Has Konoha, so why did Iwagakure also help? Kakashi and the others breathed a sigh of relief, and he showed a tired smile. Thank you, Master Ikage and Master Kage, for coming to help. Several Jonin were also confused. They had participated in many high-level meetings as Jonin. Forget about Gaara, they remembered that Tsuchikage Onoki was an old man with a bad temper. Feeling the doubtful glances around him, Onoki looked at Kakashi. Your shadow is very prescient. I received your Hokage invitation a few days ago and promised to give us a certain proportion of Rock Shinobi's tasks to invite me to cooperate. After hearing this, everyone understood that the interests of co-authoring came first, so everything was clear, and they did not believe that this strange old man would be willing to take the initiative to help. Onoki looked at Uchiha Xiao in midair not far away, and thought to himself that Uchiha Xiao had actually threatened the entire ninja world at this time. Even if Kakashi didn't say anything, the 5 major countries would cooperate when facing powerful enemies. However, since Kakashi first proposed cooperation and gave a lot of bargaining chips, he was disrespectful. At this time, Yuhi Hong suddenly reacted and looked at Kakashi in surprise. Sir 6th generation, how did you know that Uchiha Xiao would come over? Several other people also looked at Kakashi, and Onoki was also puzzled as to why Kakashi had made an appointment to have him come over today, and it happened that Kakashi controlled the meteorite to hit him. Kakashi shook his head. I don't know, it's just intuition. Pipe. Quote. Guy gave a thumbs up. Is it intuitive? You are so young. After speaking, he patted Kakashi with his hand. Kakashi wailed in pain. Stop patting, it hurts. Kurenai Yuhi looked at Jiraiya and said with a smile, are Tsuchikage-sama and Kage-sama the helpers we call them? That is indeed reassuring. Jiraiya shook his head. There is someone else to help. Yuhi Hong was slightly startled. Could there be anyone more reliable than Onoki and Kakashi? But seeing Jiraiya's mysterious look, she knew she couldn't get anything out of the question. Okay, everyone, this is not the time for small talk. Onoki reminded him and looked at Uchiha Xiao not far away. Everyone also followed Onoki's gaze and looked at Uchiha Xiao. Uchiha Xiao stood in Suzunouchi and looked at Onoki, which made Onoki feel dazed. This scene reminded him of his youth, which was the shame of his life. He originally thought that when he saw Uchiha Xiao again, the fear of his youth would come back. But now that he had really seen it, Onoki's heart calmed down. His eyes were as firm as a rock, and he used light and heavy rock techniques to bring his hype to the same level as Uchiha Xiao. Looking at Onoki's face, Uchiha Xiao had no expression on his face, because his heart began to analyze Onoki. Onoki's strength should currently be ranked at the top of the ninja world and one of the top combat capabilities. Although Kakashi and Gaara also have the same, Kage, title as Onoki. But there is no doubt that Onoki's strength is far superior to Kakashi and Gaara. His rich combat experience, and the most desperate thing, the dust release that can turn all objects into molecules, are all existences that can far surpass Hokage and Kage. From a physical perspective, dust release can be said to be the most destructive ninjutsu. By decomposing all items into molecular forms, Uchiha Xiao's filthy earth body must also avoid its sharp edge in front of Shendun. Onoki looked at Uchiha Xiao and said, "Dead people, please don't come out to interfere with the living people's affairs. Why don't you go back and rest in peace?" Uchiha Xiao said sarcastically, "You kid who once knelt down in front of me and begged for a living, didn't expect that his height didn't change much, but he became more confident than before." Onoki was not irritated, but smiled and said, "Haha, people will grow up. Yes, I was really afraid of you before, but that was in the past. Don't always live in the past," and Zibo Xiao. Uchiha Xiao looked cold. "Really? Then I hope your strength can be a little higher than your height." Then, Uchiha Xiao looked at Gaara, who was aside. Seeing that Gaara, who was still a dead body, came to life again, she understood something in her heart. It seems that it was Chiyo's fault. Reincarnation is a forbidden technique developed by Sand Shinobi Chiyo, which can give the lifespan of the caster to the caster, 10 lives for 10 lives. Originally, Chiyo wanted to use it to resurrect Scorpion, but now it seems that Chiyo resurrected Gaara according to the plot. Uchiha Xiao looked at Gaara and couldn't help but said, "There is no point in resurrecting a waste like you." Although Uchiha Xiao can probably understand that Sunagaku needs a young leader, after all, Sunagaku's overall strength is too weak, and Chiyo, Ebizo and others are also dying. But none of this can cover up the fact that Gaara is now the weakest Kage in the 5 great ninja village. With such strength, it is difficult for Xiao Zihao to take a serious look at him. Facing Uchiha Xiao's insult, Gaara did not get angry, but said, "Although my strength is indeed not strong, I will fight to the death for my companions and for the mistakes I made when I invaded Konoha." Gaara met Naruto 2 weeks ago. Naruto did not regard him as a monster like the people in the previous village, but truly treated him as a friend. And when Gaara learned that Naruto thought he was dead and still wanted to avenge him, Gaara was only moved by Naruto in her heart. This made Gaara understand for the first time what the true meaning of friends is. Gaara continued, "Naruto saved me, and as Naruto's friend, I want to protect Naruto and Naruto's village." Qian Zhaohao Onoki was a little embarrassed when he heard this. "You seem to be greedy for money by doing this." Hearing this, Jiraiya also greatly appreciated Gaara's behavior. He looked at Uchiha Xiao and said, "Undead from the old era, don't underestimate the young ninja." Uchiha Xiao nodded slightly. "Really? Then let me see, you use the so-called bond." Then, Uchiha Xiao's voice continued to increase, with a hint of arrogance on his face. "There are so many people here, so come and enjoy my most gorgeous blow." Uchiha Xiao's chakra began to emit, and everyone's expression suddenly changed. They felt something was wrong. Before, they felt Uchiha Xiao's chakra with a cold and manic feeling, but now the chakra released by Uchiha Xiao is full of warm feeling. It seems to be full of vitality. Uchiha Xiao was seen smiling and clapped his hands. Wood Style: The World of Flowers and Trees is born. Chapter 83. Dust Escape Original Realm Stripping Technique. Please subscribe. Wood Style: The World of Flowers and Trees is born. Uchiha Xiao clasped his hands together, and in an instant, the earth was shaking, and big trees and vines were rising up from the ground. The scale was so huge and the speed was so fast that from a distance, it looked like a large river was surging. Some slow ninjas were directly involved in the vines, and they didn't even have time to scream. There are ninjas who want to use fire style to burn these tree vines, but it is always a drop in the bucket. With the huge number, these fire styles are ultimately in vain. The ninjas couldn't help but keep jumping to avoid the rushing tree vines. Gaara waved his hands and raised a huge sand platform. The ninjas jumped on the platform to avoid the spread of the flower tree ghost. Slowly, the surge of wood style gradually slowed down until it stopped. The ninjas fell from the platform to the vines. They looked at the endless sea of vines around them, feeling fear and confusion in their hearts. Thousands of meters in radius have become Uchiha Xiao's world of flowers and trees. Onoki looked at this scene with a very serious expression. This level of wood style is already comparable to first Hokage. He has seen Senju Hashirama's overwhelming wood style, which is no different from what Uchiha Xiao displayed at this time. Everyone's mind suddenly jumped. Not only does Uchiha have the strength of the strongest Uchiha, but can even wood style beyond par with first Hokage. Kakashi's forehead was covered with sweat, but he still planned to persevere. At this moment, huge bright red flowers appeared and grew on each vine, which was very beautiful. The flowers look harmless to humans and animals, but the position where they grow is surrounding the Konoha shinobi, which is obviously some kind of attack method. Someone threw a kunai with a detonating charm tied to it at the flower. The kunai stuck on the flower, and black smoke and flower light suddenly exploded. Boom! Under the expectant gaze of everyone, the fire light dissipated, but the flowers still stood. What's going on with these flowers? They have such strong defense power. Someone suggested using lightning style, a destructive ninjutsu. However, just as everyone was discussing the means of attack, the flower that had just been attacked suddenly bloomed. Once a flower blooms, 10 flowers and hundreds of flowers bloom accordingly, and the surrounding flowers also bloom continuously. As the flowers bloom, golden pollen is spit out from the stamens and fills the air. Onoki saw the pollen in the sky and immediately shouted, Don't get close to these pollen, and don't inhale the pollen if you get close. Although Onoki responded quickly, the reminder was still too late. Many ninjas had already inhaled the pollen into their nostrils. After inhaling the pollen, they soon fell into a trance. They, CBDD, laughed like crazy people. Some ninjas who were in good mental condition did not fall into a trance, but the chakra on their bodies was confused, their bodies were weak and their speed slowed down. Uchiha Xiao thought, and the tree vines launched an attack, drawing dozens of ninjas who were in a trance into the vines. The vines were covered with sharp thorns. They took the ninjas who were in a trance into their arms and rolled them up vigorously. Dozens of ninjas died at the same time, and their blood flowed out and gathered in a low-lying area. Their bodies fell to the ground, and the scars full of holes were frightening. The vines dripping with blood continued to attack the slower ninjas, and at this time, Onoki took action in midair. Dust escape original stripping technique. A shining point of light appeared between the hands, and then surrounding the light point, a white translucent cube appeared. Here comes Iwagakure's secret technique, dust release. Kakashi looked at the small cube, knowing that this technique contained extremely powerful destructive power. Call out. The cube flew in front of the attacking vines, and then the small cube suddenly expanded. Boom. The cube exploded, and all the objects in the cube when it first expanded were wiped out, leaving no trace. Many ninjas have heard of the name of the dust release blood successor who was eliminated, but now they can't help but feel frightened when they actually see it. Such a technique that wipes the enemy out of the world without leaving any trace is really like a ghost-like method. At this time, Kakashi also felt a few vague glances, and he couldn't help but feel ashamed. He knew that his strength was really outmatched in front of Onoki. Dozens of ninjas were able to escape with the help of the dust release, and soon the Konoha shinobi launched a counterattack. They first used wind style to blow the pollen in the opposite direction of their companions, and then many ninjas with the fire attribute chakra jumped out. Fire style is the most common attribute among Konoha shinobi. Fire style dragon fire technique. Fire style great fireball technique. Fire style ashes burning. A large number of fire style ninjutsu turned into a sea of fire and swept towards the vines. Boom. There was a smell of burning. Under the fierce attack of flames, not only a large number of vines were scorched, but many flowers were also burned. However, these trees are not like the trees in nature. After the trees in the flower tree world are burned, Uchiha Xiao only needs to adjust the chakra once or twice, and the burned trees will grow again. Onoki looked at the leisurely Uchiha Xiao and murmured, "It seems I need someone to cooperate with me." Then Onoki looked at the Konoha Jonin behind him. "Which of you can guarantee that you will get close to Uchiha Xiao?" As a Hokage, Kakashi shook his head helplessly. Everyone turned their attention to Might Guy. It seemed that among all the Jonin, only Might Guy met the conditions. Might Guy stretched out his thumb, and a bright spot appeared on his teeth. Onoki was stunned for a moment, but he couldn't care less. He said to Might Guy, it's just you. Remember, you will cooperate with me later. You are responsible for approaching Uchiha Xiao and restraining him. When I release Chendu, you must remember to stay away." After finishing speaking, Onoki told Guy about the cooperation they would need to do later. "Well, I will save you some trouble." As he said that, Jiraiya formed a seal with his hands, and the thick flames of the sun spurted out. Fire-style toad oil fire bomb. The intense flames flew towards the dense vines, burning all the vines in front of them with just one blow. Soon, the tree vines continued to grow, but Guy and Onoki could take advantage of the growth time of the tree vines to launch an attack on Uchiha Xiao. 8 Inner Gates 7th Gate, Jingmun, Tien. Guy burst out with a strong momentum, and the blue steam on his body jumped like a flame. Onoki looked at Guy in surprise. This man. He felt strong power from Guy. It seems that Konoha is not as weak as he thought. Guy picked up Onoki without any explanation and then put his feet on the ground. Boom. The extremely fast speed stirred up a strong whirlwind on the spot, and the afterimage flew quickly towards Uchiha Xiao, causing earth and rocks to fly wherever it passed. Seeing Uchiha Xiao getting closer and closer, Guy's figure suddenly jumped up high. At the same time, Onoki on his back put his hand on Guy's shoulder and said, "Earth-style super heavy rock technique." Buzz. Guy only felt that the weight of his body suddenly increased. The huge weight was heavier than any weight training he had ever practiced, but at the same time, this would allow him to explode with unprecedented attack power. After performing the technique, Onoki used the ultra-light rock technique to fly far away, and formed a dust escape with his hands. Guy looked excited, making a gesture with his hands and pointing at Uchiha Xiao in Susanoo. Chapter 84. Uzumaki Naruto joins. Please subscribe. Hitora. The intense air cannon condensed into a white tiger head, a tiger head that was bigger and more ferocious than before. Boom. Hirotora hit Susanoo hard, making a huge explosion and roar. Then the whole Susan was covered with cracks, and the next second, only a harsh sound was heard. Click. Susanoo is all broken. Seeing Uchiha Xiao's body exposed, Onoki, who was already prepared, quickly released the dust release. Chen Escape Limit, World Stripping Technique. This is an upgraded version of the Dust Escape original boundary peeling technique. It not only has an expanded range and power, but also has a continuous effect. Any object that is close to the boundary peeling technique will be reduced to an atomic state. Call out. The square flies by quickly, expands, and explodes. A very smooth cut appeared on the ground, and everything in the dust escape just now was reduced to an atomic state. Solution. Is it solved? Might Guy was panting not far away. Onoki also didn't know that if Uchiha Xiao received this blow, he would also be broken into atoms and would not be visible at all. However, at this moment, a voice suddenly came from Onoki's ear. The power is okay, but the speed is not enough. Onoki turned around sharply and met Uchiha Xiao's handsome face. You. Before he finished speaking, Uchiha Xiao raised a finger and flicked Onoki away. Bang! Onoki hit the ground hard, and spider web-like traces quickly appeared on the surface. Onoki struggled to stand up. His face was very solemn. Uchiha Xiao's speed was really too fast. Damn it! Although Might Guy was very tired and even injured, he still attacked Uchiha Xiao without hesitation. Hitora. Guy froze his hands and attacked Uchiha Xiao with another round. However, perhaps due to physical strain, Guy's Day Tiger was much weaker than usual. Uchiha Xiao raised his palm. Shinra Tenseng. A strong shock wave was released from the palm of his hand, and Guy was hit hard to the ground, and his body was even carved into the surface of the earth. The two people below have already lost most of their attack power at this time, and they can be said to be at the mercy of Uchiha Lien. Looking at the two people below, Uchiha Xiao raised his arm again. Shinra Tenseng. Several black sticks slipped from the sleeves, and then, with the blessing of Shinra Tenseng, they shot accurately at Guy and Onoki like bullets. Boo! The black rod cut through the sky, flying towards the two people with a harsh sound. Just when the black stick was about to kill the two of them, a line of quicksand suddenly appeared and turned into a sand shield, blocking all the black sticks. Gaara stepped on the yellow sand with her feet, folded her arms, and appeared beside the two of them. Onoki raised his eyelids tiredly. Feng Ying. I owe you a favor. Guy lay in the pothole and gave a thumbs up to indicate he was okay. Gaara raised his head and looked at Uchiha Xiao. Uchiha Xiao was as high as a god. Suna Shigur. Gaara waved his hand and turned into bullet shapes. Uchiha attacked. Uchiha Xiao didn't even use Rinnegan's ability, just slapped Gaara's sand away. Gaara's face suddenly darkened. He knew that he was not strong, but he didn't expect that his attack would be so weak in front of Uchiha Xiao. At this moment, Kakashi and others also flew to the side of several people. Seeing that all the Jonin below had arrived, Uchiha Xiao said, "Now that everyone is here, the ninja game should be over." Kakashi's eyes narrowed. Although he didn't know what Uchiha Xiao meant, he still felt great danger from this sentence. What do you mean? Jiraiya asked. Uchiha Xiao didn't answer. He used universal pull and slowly flew higher. Uchiha Xiao said loudly, "People of Konoha, fight under the eyes of the gods." He looked at the hundreds of Konoha shinobi below and the Konoha village not far away, and murmured in his heart. Let my divine power wash away this land stained with Reina's blood. Thinking so, Uchiha Xiao spread his arms. Jiraiya looked very unhappy. He had previously investigated the place where Four Tails Jinchuriki was captured. In addition to the usual signs of battle, there was also a terrifying large pit. The pothole is in a regular circle. In terms of scale, Jiraiya looked at Konoha not far away. The scale could cover the entire village. Jiraiya immediately shouted, "Everyone, retreat quickly." Everyone looked at Jiraiya with discerning eyes, and Jiraiya continued, "I'm afraid this is a technique more powerful than the meteorite. Everyone, retreat quickly." Hearing Jiraiya's words, Kakashi and others did not doubt his presence, and immediately gave orders to all the ninjas. Konoha shinobi, listen to the order. Stay away from the village and retreat immediately. After hearing the order, the ninjas immediately mobilized chakra to retreat quickly. Uchiha Xiao's Rinnegan flashed with a strange light. He looked at the fleeing beings below without joy or sorrow, and said slowly, ... Please give me flowers. Super Shinra Tensei. An extremely strong shock wave spread out with Uchiha Xiao as the center, and the ground underneath began to crack into a circle, and then the circle continued to expand. Boom. The strong impact even turned into a visible stream of air, sending out a sound like a Shinigami's low roar to the surroundings. The scope of Shinluo Tianzhong is also getting larger and larger. Whether it is flowers, plants or stones, they are all flattened to the ground by the impact of the shock wave. Oh my god. What kind of technique is this? This Uchiha Xiao is simply not human. Konoha, is there any help? The Konoha shinobi fled while looking at the scene behind them. Seeing that no matter whether they were stones or vegetation, they were all flattened by the Super Shinra Tensei, everyone couldn't help but feel fear in their hearts. Kakashi saw that the morale of his subordinates was low, but he could not say anything. The huge gap between his strength and Uchiha Xiao's strength could not be bridged by a few words of pale encouragement. Although the entire Konoha was not razed to the ground in the center of Konoha like the plot, Uchiha Xiao relied on a huge amount of chakra and the proficient use of Rinnegan. Let Chao Shinra Tianzhong cover half of the village. The offensive of Shinra Tenseng is over. The good news is that all the ninjas have escaped from birth under Jiraiya's reminder. The bad news is that half of the village has been destroyed. Kakashi had no choice but to say to the ninjas, "Don't be sad, everyone. The civilians have been evacuated and are not within the attack range of Uchiha Xiao. Kakashi looked at Jiraiya and asked, "Is there any other information about Rinnegan's abilities?" Jiraiya shook his head, he didn't know much. Uchiha Xiao's figure slowly fell from the sky. Looking at Uchiha Xiao's relaxed look, Kakashi couldn't help but murmured. It's not good. Just when the morale of the ninjas was low, Jiraiya suddenly felt something. The corner of Jiraiya's mouth curled up. Oh, it's coming. Everyone looked at Jiraiya, and Kurenai Yuhi asked, "Is it the reinforcements you were talking about?" Jiraiya shook his head. No, but it's just as reliable. Bang! A puff of white smoke exploded boldly in front of Uchiha Xiao. The ninjas couldn't help but looked over curiously, and Yuhi Hong asked curiously. Then, who is this person? The white smoke slowly dispersed, and a high-spirited blonde boy appeared in front of Uchiha Xiao. Jiraiya smiled. Uzumaki Naruto. Chapter 85. Immortal Magic. It's of no use. Please subscribe. Naruto. As Naruto's teacher, Kakashi was very surprised and turned his eyes to Jiraiya. Jiraiya-sama. Jiraiya interrupted Kakashi. Kakashi. Don't underestimate Naruto, he has the ability to protect the village now. The white smoke gradually dissipated, and Naruto's figure appeared, with a rather large orange toad on his soles. You go back first, Toadada. Naruto looked at Uchiha Xiao, his blue eyes staring straight at Uchiha Xiao under orange eyeshadow. Naruto, I'm sorry to trouble you because of Boss Bunta's revenge. After saying that, Toadada turned into a puff of smoke and went back. Leave it to me. The breeze blew by, and Naruto's red robe pattered. Seeing Naruto come to the door, Uchiha Xiao said directly, "Did you come to the door yourself? It saves me a lot of medical work." After training at Mount Myoboku and experiencing so many things, Naruto's previously irritable mood has calmed down a lot. Naruto spoke. Uchiha Xiao, I swore, I will beat you up. Uchiha Xiao chuckled. Really? Then let me see if your oath has been favored by God. Naruto formed a seal with his hands. Multiple shadow clone technique. In an instant, thousands of Naruto's shadow clone were all around, surrounding Uchiha Xiao. After casting it, Naruto did not start attacking immediately, and the clones condensed chakra in their hands. Rasengan. With the blessing of magic, Rasengan's light became even more intense. There were thousands of Rasengan, and the dense light spots made the ninjas watching from a distance couldn't help but be surprised. As this Naruto the Kid, 4th generation Sama's technique. Kakashi was also very surprised. Sage mode. I didn't expect Naruto to be so talented and master Sage mode so quickly. Jiraiya smiled complacently. Of course it's because I teach well. Onoki knew a little bit about Sage mode after living for such a long time. Seeing Naruto's seemingly inexhaustible supply of chakra, he couldn't help but feel a little envious. It would be great if this boy was rock shinobi's. Hang. A red skeletal arm suddenly appeared, and the arm swept past, and 1/3 of the shadow clone was scattered by Susan. However, this was not over yet. As the arm swept across, clusters of flames splashed out, and soon, hundreds more shadow clone were scattered. Hateful. Although a lot of shadow clones have suddenly disappeared, the number of remaining shadow clones is still considerable. Everyone, come on, Naruto yelled, the Rasengan in his hands glowing with a frightening light. Boom, boom, boom. The Rasengan kept hitting Susanoo, and the smoke of the battle kept rising, accompanied by a rumbling roar, making everyone surprised at Naruto's strength. However, at this moment, the smoke that had been rising suddenly expanded, and then a strong force seemed to appear, sweeping away all the smoke. Shinra Tenseng. An imperceptible shock wave blew away to all Naruto present, and all Naruto's figures were suddenly suffocated. Bang, bang, bang. In an instant, all of Naruto's shadow clone turned into white smoke and disappeared between heaven and earth. Uchiha Xiao patted the dust on his body, his strength is much stronger than Nagato, and Rinnegan's compatibility is also very high under the influence of Hashirama chakra. This also makes pain have to cool down for a long time after using Super Shinra Tensei before using Shinra Tensei, while Uchiha Xiao cooled down in a short time. Kakashi raised his forehead and said, "Why are you still playing in such a mindless way?" Kakashi originally thought that Naruto would undergo a great transformation, but he didn't expect that he would still rush forward with this style of play. Jiraiya still smiled and said, "Look carefully, Kakashi." Kakashi and everyone took a closer look and found that Naruto's true body was not among the clones. Boom. The ground beneath Uchiha Xiao's feet suddenly cracked, and Naruto broke out of the ground with his fist raised high. Kakashi's eyes lit up slightly, this tactic was indeed good. Uchiha Xiao tilted her head back slightly, and her fist just brushed Uchiha Xiao's cheek. However, Naruto was not discouraged and instead smiled. Sage Art Frog Kumite. Naruto's purpose from the beginning was not to hit Uchiha Xiao directly, but to use a powerful punch to hit Uchiha Xiao's face directly with the punching wind. Uchiha was already prepared for Naruto's trick. He was short and dodged the strong wind in advance. What? Naruto was very surprised. How did Uchiha Xiao know this trick? It's a small trick. Uchiha Xiao's face was indifferent. He stretched out his hand and punched Naruto in the abdomen. Boom. With one punch, Naruto flew backwards, and after rolling a few times, his head even stuck directly on the ground. Pulling his head out of the ground, Naruto looked at Uchiha Xiao angrily. He didn't expect that after practicing hard for so long, he could still be easily dealt with by this Uchiha Xiao. Just when Naruto wanted to use the shadow clone technique again, he found that the magic chakra in his body was not enough. It was obviously caused by the wave of 1,000 Rasengan just now. But Naruto was already prepared. I saw Naruto's hands forming a seal, and in an instant, orange eye shadow climbed up around Naruto's eyes again, and power and chakra filled up again. When Kakashi saw this, he knew he couldn't hide like this anymore. He looked at Onoki and said, I can't look at you like this anymore. Lord Tsuchikage, are you okay? Onoki stood up from the ground. Humph, chakra has recovered a lot, don't underestimate the older generation, young people. Kakashi nodded, and then flew out of the darkness with Onijutsu and Jiraiya. Finally stopped hiding, Uchiha Xiao said contemptuously, and then opened his mouth and spit out 3 fireballs. Fire-style Long Yan Sings. The 3 fireballs condensed into the image of a dragon's head and hit the Kakashi trio with great accuracy. Earth-style wall. Kakashi slapped his hands on the ground, and an earth wall rose from the ground. However, this mediocre earth wall did not last long at all. Soon the fireball broke through the defense of the earth wall and attacked the 3 Kakashi people. Seeing this, Jiraiya also shook his head, and then his hair began to grow quickly, blocking the 3 people. 3 fireballs hit Jiraiya's hair. After the fireworks, Jiraiya's hair was fine. Jiraiya shook his hair vigorously again, bringing up a whirlwind and sweeping away the smoke. Onoki's hand was shining with white dust in front of his eyes. Dust escape original stripping technique. This time, the dust escape was no longer a cube, but turned into a cone. The transparent white cone of light extended rapidly and hit Uchiha Xiao. Uchiha Xiao stretched out his hand. Universal pull. Naruto, who was waiting for an opportunity, suddenly felt a strong suction force, and then Naruto was forced to fly 0.5 into Uchiha Xiao's hand. What are you going to do? Bastard. Uchiha Xiao held up Naruto's clothes and blocked Naruto in front of her. Seeing Naruto being used as a shield by Uchiha Xiao, Onoki had to move his direction and hit the cone elsewhere. You bastard. Naruto waved his fist and wanted to hit Uchiha Xiao. Noisy. Uchiha Xiao put her hand on Naruto's stomach, and then had a thought. Shinra Tenseng. The huge impact was directed into Naruto's stomach, and Naruto suddenly fainted with eyes wide open and blood vomiting from his mouth. Naruto lost his fighting power. As soon as Uchiha Xiao let go, Naruto fell to the ground. Naruto. Kakashi was anxious. He pinched 2 kunai and quickly threw them out. Lightning-style kunai Reikiri. A powerful electric light flashed, hitting Uchiha Xiao from 2 different directions. Chapter 86. After severely injuring little Sakura, Naruto went berserk. Please subscribe. Facing the attack of thunder and lightning kunai, Uchiha Xiao had his own countermeasures. Wind style. Gale palm. After forming the seal, he put his hands together, and 2 whirlwinds appeared on Uchiha Xiao's hands. Ding. Under Feng Clay's iron rule of restraint, Uchiha Lien held 2 kunai in his hands with just his fingers. Back to you. Uchiha Xiao pinched the kunai and shook it. Lightning-style kunai Reikiri. It was the ninjutsu Kakashi had just unleashed. Kakashi's pupils shrank, and he wanted to imitate Uchiha Xiao's wind style to catch the kunai, but he soon discovered that this didn't work. The kunai Reikiri released by Uchiha Xiao was filled with lightning and thunder, and was more than 5 times more powerful than the one he had just released. At this time, Jiraiya's figure appeared in front of Kakashi. Ninja technique. Needle Jizo. The strong hair tightly wrapped Kakashi and Jiraiya. Ding, ding. With 2 crisp sounds, the kunai flew into the air. The kunai filled with powerful thunder and lightning did not break Jiraiya's defense. HMPH, my defense is not that easy to break. Jiraiya said proudly, and his hair changed back. However, Uchi 21 Bo Xiao laughed contemptuously at this time. Haha, after a few years of annihilation, have you forgotten Uchiha's special skills? Jiraiya and Kakashi frowned, they did not understand Uchiha Xiao's words. Then let me help you recall the memories. As he spoke, Uchiha suddenly shook his hands. Sharingan F***KS the windmill ni no Tachi. Under the sunlight, an imperceptible light suddenly flashed. Kakashi's pupils shrank, and he turned around to look at the 2 kunai that had just failed to break Jiraiya's hair. He saw the 2 kunai pulled out from the ground and started to move quickly. The 2 kunais were actually tied with almost transparent wires. Uchiha Xiao moved his hands, and under the traction of the wire, kunai drove the wire to tie Jiraiya and Kakashi together. Damn, I can't form a seal. Jiraiya tried to break away from the wire, but found that the wire was extremely hard. Kakashi thought to himself, if Sharingan had not been taken away, he would have noticed these strange wires. The 2 of them looked at Uchiha Xiao with extremely ugly expressions. Uchiha Xiao had always shown them inhuman magic like Susanoo and Shinra Tenseng, which made them almost forget Uchiha Xiao's identity. With the help of the Sharingan, the Uchiha clan is very famous for its shuriken skills, which are known as mysterious and difficult to detect. They did not expect that Uchiha Xiao would defeat them in such a way. Uchiha Xiao held a piece of wire in his mouth, formed a seal with his hands, and then a flash of fire came out of his mouth. Fire-style dragon fire technique. The blazing flames flew rapidly towards Jiraiya and the two people along the wire, at this critical moment. Dust release original technique. A sphere filled with white light suddenly fell and landed on the ground where the fireball was speeding. Hang. The ball of light suddenly grew larger, covering Uchiha Xiao's fire style, and then turned the fire style into an atomic state. Seeing that his means were blocked, Uchiha Xiao was not angry, but smiled. His attack this time was to induce Onoki's attack. After Onoki attacked, there must be a gap where he could not attack. He teleported to Onoki's side and put his hand on Onoki's abdomen. Onoki had just released a dust escape and could only watch Uchiha Xiao's movements. Uchiha Xiao said calmly, Shinra Tenseng. Boom. A strong shock wave erupted in Onoki's abdomen at a very close distance, and Onoki's body turned into an afterimage and hit the ground. Bang. Onoki's body was deeply embedded in the ground, and he didn't know whether he was alive or dead. Uchiha Xiao looked at the two Jiraiya who were still tied up and raised his hand to kill them. At this moment, a person staggered over not far away. This person was none other than little Sakura. She had just crawled out of the ruins, with scars all over her body. She had just heard Naruto's shout, so she followed Naruto's voice and came here. Little Sakura, don't come here. Get out of here. Kakashi shouted eagerly when he saw little Sakura coming. However, little Sakura didn't listen. She looked at Naruto lying on the ground, vomiting blood, not knowing whether he was alive or dead, and her heart fell into endless sadness. 2 lines of clear tears fell from the cheeks, and the trembling vocal cords shouted out. Why, Uchiha Xiao, you are also from Konoha, right? Why do you want to capture Sasuke? Why do you want to destroy the village? Why do you want to hurt Naruto? Little Sakura, go quickly. Kakashi struggled to drag his body, but it was difficult for Kakashi to move due to the entanglement of the wire. But Sakura didn't seem to hear anything, but asked Uchiha Xiao to answer her. Uchiha Xiao originally didn't want to pay attention to a ninja with no strength like Sakura, but Sakura was too noisy. Uchiha Xiao threw a Shinra Tenseng backhand, and Sakura's figure flew straight away. Kakashi's eyes were splitting. Little Sakura. At this moment, Naruto woke up from the previous attack. As soon as he opened his eyes, he saw little Sakura who had been knocked away. Kakashi's shrill screams could not be heard. Little Sakura. He stretched out his palms and wanted to crawl towards little Sakura, but he had no strength at this time and could only look at little Sakura's motionless body, unaware of life or death. Naruto's breathing quickened, his blue eyes turned blue, his round pupils turned into vertical pupils, and the red chakra of 9 tails emerged from Naruto's body like bubbles. The black and red chakra coat covered Naruto's entire body, and Naruto's face could not be seen at all. 4 dark red tails extended out from behind. Uchiha Xiao looked at the changes in Naruto. Will there be 4 tails soon? 993. Naruto raised his hands and roared to the sky, his voice full of sorrow and hatred. Ah, Uchiha Xiao chuckled and said, it seems you are very angry. Whoosh. A fist filled with 9 tails chakra hit Uchiha Xiao's face directly. Uchiha Xiao's face instantly turned cold. Shinra Tenseng. Bang. The extremely strong impact made Naruto's figure retreat some distance, but it was not to the point of being knocked away. Uchiha Xiao looked into Naruto's eyes. Kurama, you have been very rebellious in these years when I was gone. Roar. Naruto roared like a beast, and Uchiha Xiao heard the fear in the roar. Uchiha Xiao rushed forward without saying a word, grabbed Naruto's neck with absolute strength and pushed him to the ground, and then a black stick appeared in his left hand. Ba, ba, ba. Several black rods severely fixed the tailed beast Naruto's hands and feet. Uchiha Xiao stepped on Naruto's head with his feet and made Naruto's eyes look at his Sharingan. As if remembering the fear that once dominated him, Naruto's chakra suddenly began to surge again, and soon, the 5th tail and the 6th tail grew out one after another. Soon, under the powerful impact, the black rod was blown away, and Naruto opened the restraints. Looking at this violent scene, Uchiha Xiao said calmly, it seems I have to teach you a lesson. Wood-style wood dragon technique. Chapter 87. Guy breaks out and opens 8 gate. Please subscribe. Wood-style wooden dragon technique. A ferocious wooden dragon emerged from the ground and immediately wrapped around Naruto, who already had 6 tails. Naruto, Kakashi and Jiraiya watched this scene nervously. At this time, they had broken free from the wire, but now they couldn't intervene in this scene. Although this wooden dragon has been shrunk by Uchiha Xiao, its power and effectiveness are still very powerful. The red and blue chakras gathered in Naruto's mouth. Seeing 9 tails trying to condense the tailed beast bomb, Uchiha Xiao thought, and the wooden dragon wrapped around it even more intensely, and even began to absorb the 9 tails chakra. 9 tails let out a miserable scream, and the unformed tailed beast bomb on its mouth dissipated instantly. Seeing that 9 tails was still not behaving well, Uchiha Xiao's cold voice sounded, it seems that I have to repair you. His chakra began to mobilize, and in an instant, a red giant rose from the ground. Uchiha Xiao controlled Susanna and grabbed Ninetales' neck at once, and Ninetales pinched the hand. The tailed beast with 6 tails is not huge in shape. Susan picked up the 9 tails like a toy. Lift 9 tails and smash it to the ground. Bang! Smoke and dust were everywhere, rocks and soil were flying everywhere, and 9 tails let out a miserable cry. At this moment, a wave of sand like seawater suddenly hit Susanno's hand. Put down my friend. Gaara looked at Uchiha Xiao and said firmly. Onikiri. Susanna drew out the Onikiri sword and swung it away. The thick sand could not resist the Onikiri at all. Whoa! Onikiri quickly cut through Gaara's body, and then stirred up a strong gust of wind, which was very powerful. Wow! Gaara's body turned into a handful of yellow sand, and his real body appeared on the other side. Uchiha Xiao seemed to have expected this move, and had already formed the fire style technique with his hands. Fire style. Dragon fire technique. A fire dragon suddenly appeared and hit Gaara directly. Gaara's speed was not that fast. He couldn't dodge, so he could only use sand to block his body and resist this move. Boom! The fire dragon hit the sand hard, and soon the sand became extremely hot, and Gaara could feel the heat of the flames even through layers of protection. Finally, a bunch of flames burned Gaara. Gaara quickly put out the fire with sand, but he also suffered serious burns. Breathing heavily and in shock, Gaara lifted the sand shield in front of her, and the hot sand fell to the ground. Some of the sand even turned into beautiful glass. However, this was not over yet. Uchiha Xiao knew Gaara would come up to him later, so he simply took out a few black sticks and pointed them at Gaara. Shinra Tensei. With the blessing of Shinra Tensei, the speed of the black stick far exceeds Gaara's absolute defense speed. PFF'd. Several black rods were firmly pierced into Gaara's body. Gaara spit out a mouthful of blood and then lowered her head to her chest. Seeing that the annoying guy was finally quiet, Uchiha Xiao looked at Ninetales again. He raised the Onikiri, and was about to give Ninetales a good repair. At this moment, Uchiha Xiao's light noticed a white light flashing on the side. Dust escape original stripping technique. A white cube flew to Susanna. Boom! With a burst of white explosion, Susanna was blown into a big hole, and Uchiha Leon's body was exposed. Seeing this, Kakashi and Jiraiya launched an attack. Earth-style yellow Senuma. The hard ground turned into bubbling mud, suppressing Uchiha Xiao's speed to the maximum extent. The chakra on Kakashi also began to surge, and he grabbed a lot of kunai and shurikens with both hands. Reikiri Shuin. This is Kakashi's most powerful move after losing Kamui. It combines lightning-style ninjutsu and kunai, uses lightning-style chakra to increase the number of shurikens, and forms a sword formation like a dragnet. Kunai and shurikens hit Susanoo intensively. Uchiha Xiao also discovered Kakashi's attack, and many cracks gradually appeared in the attack area. Uchiha Xiao raised his Onikiri, and slammed everything, and a magnificent sword energy rushed towards Kakashi and Jiraiya. The two jumped to avoid the sword energy. Uchiha Xiao was not disappointed, but smiled. As long as every Uchiha person opens the Mangekyō Sharingan, while they can use Susanoo, everyone's Susanoo's natal weapon will also be automatically formed, and accordingly, there will also be matching weapon skills. And Uchiha Xiao's famous sword Onikiri has a skill unknown to the world. Jiraiya and Kakashi saw that they were avoiding this sword energy, and felt secretly happy in their hearts. But at this moment, Kakashi discovered in horror. One more. In front of them, they saw another magnificent sword energy that was the same as before. What? Their eyes were splitting. Jiraiya quickly began to form seals, and then used Jizo to wrap him and Kakashi again. Boom. Wherever the sword energy passed, a deep ravine appeared on the ground. Zung. The sword energy hit Jiraiya's needle, and the violent vibration made both of them feel very uncomfortable. The sword energy did not disappear and pushed the two of them towards the mountain not far away. Boom. For a moment, the mountain shook, and finally a crack appeared. Rocks flew down, and the landslide and the ground cracked with a terrifying force. When the smoke and dust dispersed, Jiraiya and Kakashi were lying on the gravel. Jiraiya's hair was scattered on the ground. Although Jizo was separated by a hard needle, the violent shock was still uncomfortable. Even in the end, after Jiraiya's hair broke, the two of them ran straight into the mountain without protection, not knowing whether they were alive or dead. Quote! Quote. Might Guy roared. He had just rested where Konoha Shinobi was hiding, but when he saw his friend being beaten to death by Uchiha Xiao, he suddenly became angry. Ignoring the obstruction of the surrounding medical ninjas, he moved his feet and flew towards the battlefield. 8 inner gates, Wang Hao, 7th gate, shocking gate, open. Blue steam spread all over the body, blood vessels began to appear obviously, and some blood vessels had even ruptured due to the continuous pressure. Taking advantage of the hole made by Onoki, Guy's figure flew forward violently, and a circular shock wave appeared. Konoha. Whirlwind. Guy appeared next to Susan at a very fast speed, and hit Susan's newly broken body with a strong and quick kick. Click. A large hole appeared in front of Guy's eyes. Looking at Uchiha Xiao who was hugging him back and looking like it had nothing to do with him, Guy immediately worked hard, and the blue steam on his body became more vigorous and frantic than before. Guy raised his foot and scraped quickly. Leaf-strong whirlwind. The powerful force hit Uchiha Xiao's body directly. Snapped. One of Uchiha Xiao's arms was broken, and debris unique to Impure World Reincarnation was kicked everywhere. Chapter 88. Uchiha Xiao is fully resurrected. Please subscribe. Debris was flying all over the sky, and Might Guy couldn't help but feel excited. He fought with Uchiha Xiao so many times and finally hit him in the body. At this moment, a black figure suddenly jumped out from the side. Who is he? Everyone was very surprised. Yuhi Kurenai thought of something at this time, and then said to the surrounding ninjas, "This is probably the reinforcements that Master 6th Generation and Jiraiya mentioned." Some people complained dissatisfiedly. What kind of reinforcements are these? Why are they being delayed? At this moment, the man in black lifted the hood that obscured his face, and 2 traces of blood appeared in his eyes. That's right, it's Uchiha Itachi. The hearts of the Konoha ninjas couldn't help but sink. Itachi was obviously a rebellious ninja of Konoha, how could he be the village's reinforcements? I'm afraid it's still Uchiha Xiao's helper. At this moment, a strong chakra burst out from Itachi's body. Susanoo. Blood flowed from the corner of Itachi's eyes, and an orange-red Susanoo rose from the ground. At this time, I only heard Itachi say loudly, "I am Uchiha Itachi, the helper Hitaki Kakashi and Jiraiya asked for." Hearing this, the surrounding ninjas were all shocked. I didn't expect the helper to be Itachi. Is this person trustworthy? This is an invitation from Hokage-sama and Jiraiya-sama. Do you think it is trustworthy? Although there was a lot of chatter around him, everyone understood that Itachi was the invited helper. Itachi 097 controlled the orange-red Susanoo. He closed his eyes, and the next second, more blood flowed from his eyes. 10-fist sword. A sword with golden flames was drawn out, and then Itachi controlled Susanoo and walked towards Uchiha Xiao. Not far away, Uchiha Xiao felt a very high sense of danger. The debris on Uchiha Xiao's body had not yet recovered, so he deduced that if he had to wait for his dirty body to recover, Itachi's 10-fist sword would probably have cut him. Uchiha Xiao formed a seal with her remaining hand. Summoning technique. A crystal coffin appeared and fell to the ground. Then Uchiha Xiao continued to mobilize chakra, and the Rinnegan in his eyes gave off a gloomy light. Itachi walked up to Uchiha Xiao. At this moment, Uchiha Xiao's other arm had not yet recovered. Seeing this, Itachi controlled Susanoo and pointed the 10-fist sword at Uchiha Xiao. Looking at Itachi, Uchiha Xiao said, "The family and the village, is this your choice, Itachi?" Hearing Uchiha Xiao's words, Itachi suddenly paused. This sentence was what Uchiha Fugaku said to him at that time. Itachi looked into Uchiha Xiao's eyes and said, "You created the will of fire, but you betrayed it, so as a ninja of Konoha, I should inherit this will of fire." The will of fire. With your thinking, it is really strange that you can believe it so firmly. Uchiha Xiao looked up at the sky, with no sense of resistance at all. Itachi controlled Susanoo and raised the 10-fist sword high, and then Itachi continued. The will of fire is endless. After saying this, Susanoo pointed the tip of the 10-fist sword downwards and pointed it at Uchiha Xiao's heart. There were leaping flames on the 10-fist sword, and it was stuck straight into Uchiha Xiao's body. In an instant, clusters of golden flames erupted from Uchiha Xiao's body. Uchiha Xiao, who is an impure world reincarnation, cannot feel any pain during normal attacks, but now, the golden flames seem to be able to penetrate the human heart and burn the soul. Feeling the unforgettable pain, Uchiha Xiao did not show a painful expression, but smiled. It had been too long since he had felt pain, the feeling of being a living person. The ninjas looked at this scene, could they really seal Uchiha Xiao away with this method? Kakashi and Jiraiya also woke up at this time. They couldn't help but feel moved when they saw Itachi's eyes bleeding and the figure holding the 10-fist sword high. Itachi's love for the village and his protection of the will of fire are no less than his Hokage. 10-fist sword seal. Itachi pulled out the 10-fist sword from Uchiha Xiao, and at the same time, Uchiha Xiao's body began to glow with white light. At this moment, Itachi heard the last words said by Uchiha Xiao. So, life is as bitter as a song. Crack. The 10-fist sword was completely pulled out from Uchiha Xiao's body, and then everyone saw a human-shaped halo being sucked into the 10-fist sword. All the ninjas looked at this scene with wide eyes. Onoki opened his eyes wide, and all the pain in his body seemed to dissipate at this moment. Uchiha Xiao, is this nightmare that has troubled him for decades, about to disappear at this moment? I saw Uchiha Xiao's dirty soil beginning to break, and all the debris dissipated between heaven and earth at this moment. What was inside the debris was a ninja wearing a forehead protector from the Sound Ninja village. He looked very young. Not, is it over? Uchiha Xiao disappeared. The ninjas cheered one after another, and Onoki, Kakashi and others also showed relieved smiles. Itachi lifted Susanoo, and after landing on the ground, he knelt down. Although he successfully sealed Uchiha Xiao with the 10-fist sword, he still felt a little uneasy in his heart. So, life is as bitter as a song. Itachi's mind recalled Uchiha Xiao's words again. He knew that Uchiha Xiao was not the kind of person who liked to talk nonsense, so before being sealed, why did Uchiha Xiao say this? Everyone, look. At this moment, a ninja noticed the crystal coffin that Uchiha Xiao had just summoned. When someone saw that the body of Uchiha Xiao was in the crystal coffin, some ninjas directly attacked the crystal coffin. Fire-style great fireball technique. Kakashi wanted to stop them, but a fireball spit out from a ninja's mouth and hit the crystal coffin. Bang! The fireball exploded on the crystal coffin. When the fireworks dissipated, it was seen that the crystal coffin was undamaged, and a piece of paper filled with spells suddenly floated with purple light. The ninja who had just released the great fireball was suddenly startled, his eyes went blank, and then he picked up the kunai and stabbed himself in the neck. Bah! The blood turned into a blood line and streaked through the air, and the ninja fell directly to the ground, lifeless. What? Shikaku immediately shouted. Don't attack this crystal coffin. Let the ninjas from the sealing class come up to study it. Then Shikaku ordered the ninjas of the sealing class in the village to study the spells on the crystal coffin. However, when the ninjas from the sealing class approached the crystal coffin, bah! A seal class ninja suddenly committed suicide just like the ninja just now. Then one after another, this happened to anyone who was within 1 meter of the crystal coffin. After paying the death of 5 people, everyone couldn't help but place spells around the crystal coffin and not allow ninjas to approach. At the same time, they also sighed in their hearts, lamenting that this Uchiha Xiao even had such high attainments in the sealing technique. However, at this moment, a sudden change occurred. A powerful aura came out from the crystal coffin, and everyone looked sideways, their eyes filled with fear. No, it can't be. Some ninjas covered their mouths in disbelief. The most unbelievable one was Itachi. No, it's impossible. I sealed him with my own hands. I saw the coffin board of the crystal coffin slowly moving away, and a figure sat up from the coffin. No. Someone covered his eyes and wailed in despair. Why is this happening? Kakashi punched the ground with his fist. Quote. Jiraiya said nothing, his eyes filled with a sense of powerlessness. Onoki looked at Uchiha Xiao in horror. Uchiha Xiao's current appearance is very close to the Uchiha Xiao he met when he was young. Uchiha Xiao closed his eyes tightly. He felt Itachi's breath not far away, and then said, Itachi, you're fine. Chapter 89. The Power After Resurrection. Please subscribe. Uchiha Xiao squeezed her hands. The warm feeling was not as cold as Impure World Reincarnation. Whoosh! Someone couldn't bear the fear and threw a shuriken at Uchiha Xiao. Uchiha Xiao did not hide and let the shuriken cut his cheek. A touch of red appeared on Uchiha Xiao's face, but the wound was gradually healing on its own. Uchiha Xiao felt the long-lost pain and licked the blood from her fingertips. The smile on her face became stronger and stronger, this pain. A feeling that makes people's blood boil. Hee hee. Ha 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 ha. Uchiha Xiao's deep laughter gradually turned into wild laughter. Soon, Uchiha Xiao played Uchiha Linkshin. Reina, wait for me. At the same time, Uchiha Xiao felt a distant chakra echoing him. He knew immediately that Yagura was coming. Before he died, he actually not only performed the Rinne Tensai technique, but he also had a matching technique for it. As long as Rinne Tensai is activated, the controlled Yagura will follow, and Uchiha Xiao's chakra will come to send Rinnegan away. With Yagura's chakra amount, only one person, Uchiha Xiao, can be resurrected. Although Yagura's chakra amount is rare in the world, Uchiha Xiao still feels a little regretful about this. Now all Uchiha Xiao has to do is wait for his Rinnegan to arrive, or... Uchiha Xiao felt the hostile chakra around him, and it just so happened that he also tried his own experience after resurrection. Itachi looked at Uchiha Xiao, humph. He wanted to continue using Susanoo, but the severe pain in his eyes made him stop. Uchiha Xiao didn't pay too much attention to Itachi, but faced everyone in Konoha, and the chakra in his body began to boil. Buzz. The ground beneath Uchiha Xiao's feet cracked, and stones and sand floated against gravity. Chakra's pressure turned into reality and spread with Uchiha Xiao as the center. Many ninjas even gave up resistance. Even the Jonin, who had experienced many battles, were covered in cold sweat at this time, and they couldn't help but feel panicked in their hearts. Kakashi, who was still seriously injured, stood up unsteadily. He wanted to step forward to negotiate with Uchiha Xiao, but the pain all over his body and the strong pressure made it almost impossible for him to walk. A ninja from the Hyuga clan activated his Byakugan to observe Uchiha Xiao, and then he was so surprised that he could hardly speak. No, it's impossible. His chakra power. Hearing the exclamation, other people who also had the ability to sense also began to sense it. After sensing it, all of them, without exception, looked shocked. Uchiha Xiao's chakra power was, in one word, shocking. It is as deep and huge as the sea, as if it were a human-shaped tailed beast. Clang. Many crisp sounds sounded, which was when the ninjas dropped their weapons. The fighting spirit in them has long been wiped out. Uchiha Xiao, what on earth are you? Itachi asked Uchiha Xiao urgently, covering his painful eyes. Uchiha Xiao said lightly, I will deal with you later, Uchiha's shame. Seeing that the morale around him had reached its lowest point, Onoki, as the most senior person present, immediately encouraged everyone. Everyone, don't be intimidated by this man. He has just been resurrected without Sharingan and Rinnegan. He cannot use techniques like Susanoo and Meteorites. Now is a good time to kill him completely. Onoki's words hit the nail on the head and accurately hit the worrying point in the hearts of all the ninjas. The ninjas were all worried that Uchiha Xiao would be more powerful after his resurrection. Now it seems that the breath and chakra have indeed been strengthened a lot, but the Rinnegan and Sharingan are gone. This seems to be a weakening of the opponent Shiba Xiao. Like a shot in the arm, everyone's fighting will has recovered a lot. Uchiha Xiao saw that Onoki could easily mobilize everyone's morale, and felt that Onoki was indeed a talent. However, in the face of a huge disparity in strength, this encouragement only accelerated their death. Jiraiya stepped forward from behind the large group. Asuma smoked a cigarette. As the injury okay, Master Jiraiya. Although Asuma kept smoking, as if his mood did not fluctuate, he did clearly remember that his father, Sarutobi Hiruzen, was killed by Uchiha Xiao. His eyes were like sharp blades, nailed to Uchiha Xiao. Jiraiya glanced at Asuma and said, "It's okay." Although Jiraiya was injured as seriously as Kakashi, Jiraiya had the blessing of Sage Mode after all, and the natural energy supplement allowed him to recover most of his injuries. Soon, the battle started immediately, and Konoha started the offensive first. Shenyu Izuyun and Gang Ziti rushed to the front, only to see Shenyu Izuyun spit out a ball of sticky water. Water-style water-binding rope. The extremely sticky water rope was tied to Uchiha Xiao, and soon Gang Ziti launched an attack. Gang Zitai summoning creates a giant stick with an exaggerated shape. Please give me flowers. Death. The sharp corner of the giant stick was pointed directly at Uchiha Xiao, making a burst of sound. Bang. The smoke dispersed, and the corner of the giant stick stuck hard into a stand-in piece of wood. What? Steel is a special Jonin. Logically speaking, he should have seen it when Uchiha Xiao formed the seal. Uchiha Xiao didn't care about them. He quickly appeared behind Gang Ziti and knocked Gang Ziti away with one punch. Water-style water trumpet. Azumo Kamizuki spat out a trumpet-shaped water to attack Uchiha Xiao. Facing water style, Uchiha Xiao opened his mouth and spit out a fireball. As if the restraint relationship was reversed, the water horn did not resist the fireball at all. After breaking through the water curtain, the fireball hit Shenyu Azumo directly like a missile. Bang! The fireball exploded, and Shenyu Azumo fell aside, not knowing whether he was alive or dead. Uchiha Xiao thought, and he felt a powerful aura approaching quickly. Chakra knife Ikimonji. At this moment, Asuma took action, his chakra knife fired with blue light, and his whole body turned into a sharp blue light and cut towards Uchiha Xiao. Uchiha Xiao also felt it. He didn't hold any weapons in his hands and rushed towards Asuma empty-handed. Asuma had cold sweat dripping from his forehead and shouted, "Are you kidding me?" Then the chakra output of both hands was increased. Hang. The two figures quickly crossed each other, and then stopped. Both of them maintained the same attack movements. The next second, Asuma's body began to tremble, a line of blood shot out from Asuma's body, the cigarette butt in his mouth fell to the ground, the blue light of the chakra knife immediately dissipated, and the whole person fell straight to the ground. Asuma. Yuhi Hong screamed, tears welling up in her eyes. Guy was not far away and wanted to step forward, but he had maintained the seventh gate state for too long today, and his body could no longer withstand it. Jiraiya's expression was very ugly. Asuma was the teacher's last son, and he just watched Asuma being killed by Uchiha Xiao. Uchiha Xiao shook off the blood on his hand. He didn't use a weapon. To him, it didn't matter whether he used a weapon or not to kill Asuma. Jiraiya flicked his hair. Sage art, hair needle Sanban. Countless white hairs turned into sharp shinbun, which fired continuously like machine guns. Uchiha Xiao had a dull expression and quickly formed seals with his hands. Wind style. Vacuum Dayama. Chapter 90. Naruto goes berserk, Seven Tails appears. Please subscribe. There was a piercing roar, causing a circular shock wave, and then a huge airflow spurted out from Uchiha Xiao's mouth. Like a rocket, it flew towards Jiraiya rapidly with a sound of breaking through the air, and all the hair chinbun along the way was crushed into pieces by this blow. Jiraiya's pupils shrank, and then he immediately used Jizo to wrap his body. Needle Jizo. If this move is used in Uchiha Xiao's dirty earth form, it can definitely be blocked, but now is the heyday of Uchiha Xiao's physical condition. In its heyday, Uchiha Xiao's technique was more than 5 times more powerful than in its previous Impure world reincarnation state. Buzz. The vacuum jade hit Jiraiya's needle Jizo, and the strong attack made Jiraiya's hard hair tremble continuously. Finally, under the bombardment of wind bombs, cracks appeared in Jiraiya's hair. What? Jiraiya was surprised, actually a wind style directly broke the strong hair that he was proud of. 2, 5, 3, his hair was broken just now because he resisted Susanoo. One sword, and this is the wind style that Uchiha Xiao released casually. Wind style would not give Jiraiya time to be surprised. There was a crisp sound and Jiraiya's hair broke. Jiraiya had no time to react, and the remaining power of the wind bomb hit Jiraiya hard. The strong impact of wind style caused Jiraiya's body to fly backwards, and then landed heavily on the ground. Wow. Jilai reluctantly stood up and spit out blood from his mouth. Uchiha Xiao was not idle, and continued to form seals with both hands. Fire style extinguished the fire. The dazzling firelight made Jiraiya raise his head, and what he saw was the flames. The flames in his eyes were like a wave of gathered flames sweeping over him. Jiraiya endured the pain and took out a scroll and opened it immediately. He saw that the scroll was densely written with runes, and a big word, sealing, was written in the middle. Then Jiraiya immediately formed the seal. Sealing fire seal seal. The next second, all the flames suddenly changed their direction and went towards the scroll. The scroll also refused to accept these fire styles, and the flames were continuously swallowed by the scroll. Seeing that this raging offensive was resisted, Jiraiya couldn't help but take this opportunity to breathe. Uchiha Xiao heard the sound of the spell and instantly guessed Jiraiya's method, sealing the fire seal. Then look at this fire, can you seal it? As he spoke, Uchiha Xiao formed a seal with his hands, and then slammed the ground. Summoning technique. Then, another intense sea of fire emerged from the summoning technique, killing Jiraiya at an extremely fast speed. Jiraiya maintained the hand seal gesture and said, "We will not reject anyone who comes." However, Jiraiya soon discovered something was wrong. He discovered that the fire sealing seal could not absorb the flames summoned by Uchiha Xiao. What's going on? Jiraiya continued to form seals, but the sea of fire did not respond at all and continued to attack Jiraiya at an extremely fast speed. The fire sealing seal is a good sealing technique. All fire style ninjutsu, even Amaterasu, will be absorbed by the fire sealing seal, but the flames summoned by Uchiha Xiao are different. Uchiha Xiao once signed a summoning contract with a volcano. The flames on the volcano do not contain chakra, but are purely the power of nature. The flame summoned here is the natural flame of the volcano. Jiraiya didn't expect this, and his whole body was burned directly by these flames. Not good. Jiraiya felt the flames all over his body and wanted to use ninjutsu to extinguish the flames, but Uchiha Xiao had already turned into an afterimage and flashed to Jiraiya's side. Uchiha Xiao punched out, and Jiraiya had to stretch out his hands to block it. Every time Jiraiya put his hands together to form a seal, Uchiha Xiao used his superb physical skills to interrupt it. Boom. A flying kick and a strong impact caused Jiraiya to spit out a mouthful of blood again. Uchiha Xiao's physical skills have increased fivefold after his resurrection. In the entire field, probably only Might Guy's physical skills can match Uchiha Xiao's. At this time, other Konoha shinobi came one after another. They used water style on Jiraiya, while other ninjas restrained Uchiha Xiao. Speaking of being restrained, most of them were instantly killed by Uchiha Xiao in a single encounter. The flames on Jiraiya's body were extinguished, his skin was red and his whole body was in burning pain. Jiraiya-sama, are you okay? Jiraiya waved his hand, even though his whole body was in pain, and if a burn of this degree was not treated in time, it would probably be life-threatening. But Jiraiya knows that if Uchiha Xiao is not killed or sealed at this time, then when he gets back the Rinnegan and Sharingan, there will be no hope for the entire ninja world. Moreover, Jiraiya felt the pain all over his body from the inside out. He understood that his internal organs were probably riddled with holes. Even if he retreated immediately, his injuries might not be healed. However, at this moment, a chakra full of negative energy exploded among the Konoha troops. Everyone looked over immediately and saw Naruto, who had been barely controlled just now, becoming restless again. What's going on? Why suddenly? The ninja from the ceiling class asked while barely controlling Naruto. Kakashi replied, I'm afraid I saw Master Jiraiya was injured, that's why I was so angry. Roar. Naruto let out an inhuman roar, and a strong sense of oppression and air flow exploded on his body. The next second, the seventh tail grew out from behind, and the mannequin gloomy chakra began to spread. Enlarge the seal on India. Kakashi immediately issued the order. I saw several ninjas from the ceiling class hurried forward, and a series of techniques climbed on Naruto's body. However, after Naruto was shackled, instead of being calm, he became even more violent. Naruto, calm down. In the mental space, Nine Tails reminded Naruto loudly. Naruto was standing in front of Nine Tails at this moment. He couldn't hear Nine Tails' reminder at all. His eyes were extremely red and chakra with a strong negative aura erupted from his body. Soon, Naruto looked at Nine Tails, and the irrationality in those eyes made Nine Tails feel bad. I saw Naruto staggering towards the ceiling talisman. Nine Tails thought in his mind, and the water in the sewer began to condense into a wall of water, blocking the front of Naruto. However, facing the wall of water, Naruto stretched out his fist and directly broke the wall of water. The hatred and anger in his heart seemed to turn into Naruto's power, and all the obstacles created by Nine Tails were violently broken by Naruto. Nine Tails stared at Naruto. If the sealing technique was revealed, it would be forced out of Naruto's body. Nine Tails knew that Uchiha Xiao was outside. The aura that erupted when Uchiha Xiao was resurrected just now frightened it into confusion. 1.1 Its mind recalled the fear of being dominated by Uchiha Xiao in those years. Naruto walked up to the sealing technique, his heart filled with only one thought, revenge. As long as the big fox is released, Uchiha Xiao can be killed, and Pervy Sage will be saved. With this thought in mind, Naruto slowly thought, and the water under his feet began to form a water column, lifting him up. Naruto slowly rose up and the seal appeared in front of his eyes. This sealing technique is very simple, there are no dense spells, there is only a big word, sealing, written on the paper. Naruto put his hand on the seal, tore off a corner, and inserted his fingers along the opening of the seal. Ninetales' eyes widened as it watched this scene, and its breathing became rapid. Maybe it didn't even notice that it was trembling. Just when Naruto wanted to tear it apart with all his strength. Snapped. A hand suddenly grabbed Naruto's wrist. Boom Yi. Chapter 91. Namikaze Minato appears. Please subscribe. The owner of the hand pulled Naruto far away, and Naruto fell to the ground because of the sudden force. The ground was covered with water, and the cool feeling of the water made Naruto regain his consciousness slightly. Naruto looked around in confusion. At this time, the hand stretched out in front of Naruto. Naruto was a little confused, but he still grabbed his hand and stood up. A ray of light shone on the man's face. Looking at the man's face, Naruto was a little confused. Although he had never seen this man before, he felt that this man was very familiar to him. At this time, the man turned around and looked at Ninetales. You are. Ninetales made a shocked sound. This was the first time Naruto saw the big fox showing such an expression. The man looked at Ninetales with vigilance in his eyes. However, Naruto's attention was not there at this time. He stared blankly at the back of the man. The man was wearing a white robe with the words, "Fourth Hokage," written on the back of the robe. Naruto finally knew why he felt this face was familiar, because every time he looked at Hokage Yanyan and looked forward to the future, he would see Hokage Yanyan from the song Fourth Generation. Why? Fourth Generation. Naruto 21 looked at Minato's handsome face and wondered. Minato showed a warm smile, and then said, once your tailed beast transforms into a seventh tail, my consciousness will appear here, although I desperately hope that this result will not happen. But. Naruto was still confused as to why the fourth Hokage appeared in his body, and when he heard Minato's, but, he still looked over curiously. Minato continued. However, I am looking forward to seeing my grown-up son, which is a mixture of joy and sorrow. At this moment, Ninetales suddenly shouted, Namikaze Minato, take care of your son, this boy's character is really not like yours. Minato looked at Ninetales with some doubts in his eyes, but he still said to Naruto, that guy is a little noisy, let's go to a quieter place. After that, he stretched out his hand and snapped his fingers. Then the surrounding environment became extremely bright. Naruto looked at Minato with tears in his eyes. Just now, the big fox said, what do you mean by your son? Minato was slightly startled. Big fox. It seems that your relationship is not as bad as I thought. Then Minato said, yes, I am your father. What followed was a tear-jerking recognition of father and son. After some emotion, Minato asked Naruto why he wanted to break the seal. Minato also reacted. Just now, Ninetales seemed to have been trying to stop Naruto from breaking the seal and taking a look. Such abnormal behavior made Minato feel that there was something fishy about the whole thing. Naruto said, it's Uchiha Xiao. Minato's face was startled. Uchiha Xiao. Hasn't he been dead for a long time? Naruto was not very clear, he just said that Uchiha Xiao suddenly resurrected and is still wreaking havoc in Konoha. When he heard that Jiraiya was seriously injured and Asuma died in the battle, Minato was also a little silent. Obviously, Konoha is now in a huge crisis. Originally, Minato wanted to give some information to Naruto, such as the information that there might be someone behind the Ninetales invasion, and that someone controlled the Ninetales to destroy the village. But compared with Uchiha Xiao, these things feel like Uchiha Xiao's incident is bigger. However, Minato now only exists as a spiritual body. When Naruto leaves, he will disappear with him, so Minato is powerless about this. He looked at Naruto and showed a gratified smile. Naruto, you can do this for the people in the village, which is already very good. He also listened to Naruto's dictation just now, practicing Sage Mode, and dueling with Uchiha Xiao. Minato touched Naruto's head with a smile on his face. Naruto blushed a little, but he also enjoyed it very much. However, if you want to master the power of Ninetales, you have to do it step by step without breaking the seal. And if I guess correctly, that Uchiha Xiao is eager for you to break the seal, so that he can take advantage of it. Quote. If things really come to that point, then Konoha may be in danger. Minato's face was extremely serious. He had spent a lot of effort to seal Ninetales, not to mention there was Uchiha Xiao outside who was eyeing the tailed beast. In this case, the seal should not be lifted. Although Naruto was a little nervous, he still heard a key point from these words, that is, the seal could not be broken. Naruto nodded heavily. Looking at Naruto's serious face, Minato couldn't help but rub Naruto's head hard again. In the real world, Naruto's manic chakra suddenly began to stabilize, and the tails even began to slowly fade away. The manic and gloomy atmosphere quickly dissipated. Sealing class, what's going on? Did you do it? Kakashi asked a little eagerly, but also a little joyfully. The ninjas in the sealing class shook their heads in surprise. They tried their best and failed to control Naruto. They were even prepared for Ninetales to suddenly appear and die heroically for the village. But suddenly Naruto suddenly became calmer, and they didn't know. Uchiha Xiao, who was on the battlefield, also felt the change in Naruto's breath. When he felt that Naruto's breath suddenly stabilized, Uchiha Xiao suddenly thought of something. Uchiha Xiao clapped his hands, and then a piece of wood appeared under his feet, and then quickly turned into a wooden man. Wood-style wood clone. Wood clone appeared and struggled with Jiraiya and others. The real body Uchiha Xiao shook his legs and rushed directly in the direction of Naruto. A ninja came to Kakashi in a panic and reported, "Sixth generation." Uchiha Xiao forced his way in. However, before he could finish his words, a kunai pierced the back of his head. Kakashi stood up and saw that the person coming 520 was Uchiha Xiao, and immediately understood that Uchiha Xiao's purpose was Naruto. The chakra on Kakashi began to mobilize rapidly. Whoosh! A shuriken flew out of Kakashi's hand, and then Kakashi quickly formed a seal. Ninjutsu. Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. In an instant, hundreds of shurikens attacked Uchiha Xiao. Uchiha Xiao also took out a shuriken and also released the Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique, but his seal speed and steps were faster and simpler than Kakashi's. For a moment, the sound of gold and iron colliding resounded across the earth, fire exploded, and countless shurikens hit the boy and bounced away. After the shuriken rain ended, Uchiha Xiao's figure suddenly appeared next to Kakashi. Kakashi reacted, but his injured body did not react so quickly. A punch hit Kakashi hard on the face. Kakashi rolled on the ground several times and passed out. Although the ninjas in the ceiling class were shaking like chaff, they still stuck to their posts and used their magic to control Naruto. Uchiha Xiao didn't care so much, he picked up a kunai, and all the ninjas in the ceiling class were killed by Uchiha Xiao. He came to Naruto. He couldn't see anything, but this extremely ominous, manic, and violent aura still made Uchiha Xiao very convinced that this was Naruto. Uchiha Xiao reached out and pressed Naruto's head, and then with a thought, his whole consciousness seemed to be sucked into a certain place. Chapter 92. Solving Namikaze Minato. Please subscribe. Dip, drip, drip. There was a sound of water dripping around, and Uchiha Xiao knew that this was Naruto's inner world, which was reflected in the layout of a sewer. Xiao, Xiao, a voice rang. Uchiha Xiao naturally knew that this was Kurama's voice, and he replied, "I don't have time to play with you for the time being, Kurama." At this moment, Uchiha Xiao also felt something. He was too lazy to say anything to Nine Tails. With a thought, he disappeared from the sewer. While Minato and his son were still chatting, Minato's expression suddenly changed. Naruto. Get behind me. Naruto didn't understand what was going on, but he ran behind his father obediently. Minato's expression was very serious, as if he was facing an enemy. He created this space, but the space just gave him a warning that someone was about to break into the space. At this time, a hole suddenly opened in the bright space, and a figure walked in. This person has black hair, a handsome face with closed eyes, and black light armor on his body, giving him a Sengoku retro style. Who are you? Although Minato had some answers in his mind, he still asked. It's as you guessed, Uchiha Xiao. Uchiha Lien replied without any secret. At this moment, Naruto shouted, "Dad!" It was him who killed Grandpa third generation and Uncle Asuma. He also captured Grandma Tsunade. Minato looked wary, and just when he was about to say something, Uchiha Xiao suddenly appeared in front of Minato's face, and his strong hand penetrated Minato's chest. "Dad! Daddy!" Naruto yelled. Minato's mental body raised his hands tremblingly, and Uchiha Xiao said, "I don't care what you want to say, I only care about what I want, Nine Tails." "I accept it," Uchiha Xiao said. Saw. Minato suddenly turned into a burst of white light. Naruto looked at this scene in confusion. The next second, all the white light around him disappeared, and the two of them returned to the sewer space. At this time, Uchiha Xiao discovered that Naruto's character was unstable again. Naruto was staring straight at Uchiha Xiao with blood-red vertical pupils. Uchiha Xiao smiled and said, "Nice breath." As he said that, he formed a seal with his hands. Naruto was suddenly stunned, and then walked out towards Nine Tails with his eyes blank. Nine Tails was desperate at this time. He looked and found Minato, but he didn't see him. Thinking about it, he knew that this Minato might have been solved by Uchiha Xiao. Naruto walked towards Nine Tails with dull eyes. Looking at this scene, Nine Tails couldn't help but feel sad, not only because he was about to be arrested, but also because he lamented Naruto's experience. Naruto grabbed the seal and slowly tore it down, and when it was halfway torn off, Uchiha Xiao suddenly spoke. "Just tear it in half." As soon as he finished speaking, Naruto's movement stopped. Uchiha Xiao naturally has his own ideas. He thinks that if only half of the seal is torn off, the overflowing chakra is enough for Gedo statue to absorb Nine Tails. If the seal is completely torn open, Kushina will appear. And this is a seal, and the seal is the home of the Uzumaki clan, and Uchiha Xiao doesn't want to get into trouble for no reason. Boom. Roar. A terrifying roar echoed throughout a 10-mile radius. I saw that Naruto's tail had turned into an eighth one. At this time, Naruto, I don't know if he could still be called Naruto, had turned into a hairless fox monster, with meridians and flesh and blood all over his body. The remaining 8 tails remain black and red. When some older ninjas saw this scene, they couldn't help but reminisce. The roar of Nine Tails at that time was exactly the same as this. At this moment, the order to retreat spread throughout the entire camp. Many ninjas knew the destructive power of Nine Tails. Even if this was Jinchuriki's tailed beast form, it certainly should not be underestimated. Tsuchikage Onogi flew up after arriving not far away. He wanted to observe the battle between Uchiha Xiao and Nine Tails. If possible, he wouldn't mind using Dust Escape to kill Nine Tails and Uchiha Xiao. Send away. Nine Tails stared at Uchiha Xiao, compressing his feet back. The next second, force exploded on his feet, and Nine Tails turned into a cannonball and flew towards Uchiha Xiao. Boom. In an instant, sand and rocks flew, and the earth cracked. Just a single sprint brought with it an aura of earth-shattering and mountain-destroying momentum. Facing the attack of Nine Tails, Uchiha Xiao seemed very calm, and he could see his hands forming seals quickly. Summoning technique Triple Rashomon. However, Uchiha Xiao's Triple Rashomon did not rise from the ground. At this time, everyone discovered that there were several huge shadows on the ground, and the shadows were getting bigger. Boom, boom, boom. I saw 3 huge ancient doors exuding a sinister evil spirit descending from the sky. They fell vertically and hit Nine Tails accurately. For a moment, the ground cracked, and Nine Tails let out a shrill howl. While fighting Uchiha Xiao's wood clone, Jiraiya was surprised by Uchiha Xiao's Rashomon. He remembered that Orochimaru would also use this technique, but Orochimaru summoned Rashomon to resist attacks, while Chiba Xiao used Rashomon as a means of attack. Onoki looked at this scene, although there was no expression on his face, but he was surprised in his heart that Uchiha Xiao's attack methods were really numerous and powerful. 3 huge Rashomon gates pressed down on Nine Tails. Nine Tails kept twisting its body, and the 8 tails behind it began to attack Rashomon continuously. Soon, a door was directly broken by Nine Tails' tails. Uchiha Xiao stepped forward and rushed towards Nine Tails. Just when he was about to reach Nine Tails, Uchiha Xiao suddenly stopped and turned around quickly. In the next breath, a black Hokage suddenly appeared there. If Uchiha Xiao dodges a little slower, the fire of the fly will appear on Uchiha Xiao. Itachi's pupils shrank in the darkness not far away. He didn't know why Uchiha Xiao expected it in advance. Itachi's Mangekyō began to turn around, looking for Uchiha Xiao's figure, but Uchiha Xiao's teleportation speed was too fast, and he couldn't catch it at all. The onlookers couldn't help but marvel, Uchiha Xiao was so powerful. For ordinary ninjas, losing their eyes can be said to have cut off their path to ninja. But for Uchiha Xiao, he can still kill everyone without his eyes. Even if this man destroyed half of Konoha, the ninjas of Konoha are still convinced of Takia Xiao's strength. At this moment, the 8-tailed Nine Tails finally broke free from the pressure of the Triple Rashomon. Its thick tail charged towards the ground, and then pushed hard, relying on the huge thrust. Nine Tails flew straight into the air. At the same time, red and blue chakra gathered in Nine Tails' mouth. Uchiha Xiao was stunned for a moment. Is this feeling a tailed beast bomb? Call out. The tailed beast bomb was launched and turned into a stream of light, hitting Uchiha Xiao straight away. Feeling the danger approaching rapidly, the roar of the tailed beast bomb across the sky became louder and louder, but Uchiha Xiao's face remained as calm as usual. Susanoo Post. Chapter 93. Summoning, Gedo Statue. Please subscribe. Susanoo. Uchiha Xiao shouted, and a flame-like red light appeared on his body, first the skeleton, then the flesh, and then the armor. Full form. In the full form of Susanoo, not only does Susanoo's absolute defense reach 360 degrees without blind spots, but Susanoo also has a pair of wings on his back, and the thick feathers add a lot of mobility to Susanoo. Jiraiya was very surprised. What's going on? Why can Susanoo be used without Sharingan? As an intelligence master, he thought he was relatively good at Susanoo. Onoki looked at the red giant and felt in a trance. He seemed to have returned to his youth. That feeling was still so profound even after decades. Uchiha Xiao didn't know what everyone was thinking, and controlled Susanoo to raise the Onikiri. Want. The red blade sliced the tailed beast bomb straight through the middle. Hang. A burst of white light appeared in the middle of the tailed beast bomb, and then the tailed beast bomb exploded directly in the air. The violent explosion stirred up a strong wind. Tsuchikage, who was standing far away, was also blown by the wind and had to cover his eyes with his hands. At this moment, a huge stone was hit quickly by the impact. When Onoki opened his eyes, the stone was already in front of him. Not good. He wanted to use Dust Escape, but it was 603 too late. At this moment, a handful of yellow sand blocked the attack of the boulder. Onoki turned around and saw Gaara. His injuries were better, but he was still extremely weak. Onoki breathed a sigh of relief and said, "You saved me twice today, Feng Shadow. N." Gaara smiled and then said, "Let's go back to the Konoha troops and discuss countermeasures with Hokage and the others." Onoki nodded, and the two flew towards the direction of Konoha's troops. When the fire and black smoke dissipated, Uchiha Xiao's Susanoo was unharmed, but Nine Tails looked angry and frustrated. At this time, Uchiha Xiao thought, and saw a sword energy suddenly appeared out of thin air and blew towards the Nine Tails wolf. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. Ninetales didn't have time to take precautions. After all, Susanna didn't even move the sword, so the sword energy appeared out of thin air. It was really weird. Boom. The sword energy hit Ninetales' body, and instantly, a large gash appeared on Ninetales' body, and red chakra continued to escape from the wound. Although the wound healed quickly, all the ninjas were shocked by Uchiha Xiao's sword. They have grown so big, but I have never heard of tailed beasts being injured, CBFB. Onoki and Garo returned to the camp. At this time, everyone in the camp was very depressed. Kurenai Yuhi was very sad. Now that she was a jonin, she naturally wouldn't cry like a little girl, but her eyes were still clear. Might Guy blamed himself and said, I was still too weak. If I could have moved at that time, Asuma, I wouldn't have died. Yuri Hong shook her head, her face looking very lonely. No, it's not your fault, Guy, it's all because of this devil. She looked at the red giant, her apricot red eyes revealing infinite anger. Kakashi sighed. He felt that he was very unsuitable to be this Hokage, and he clenched his fists. My strength is too weak to protect everyone. I am the most incompetent Hokage. If Master Third Generation and the teacher were here. Jiraiya patted Kakashi on the shoulder and said, it's not your fault, Hong is right, it's all because of the person named Uchiha Xiao. Then Jiraiya changed the subject and said, you just saw it, the sword that Ninetales just received. Kakashi glanced at Jiraiya, and he also noticed that they had just been seriously injured because of this strange blow. Susanoo did not move, but a sword energy suddenly appeared out of thin air. Onoki descended from the sky at this time and said, I also saw the strangeness of the field division. At this moment, a magnetic voice came out. Everyone's Susanoo is different. Everyone looked over and saw that the person coming was Uchiha Itachi. His eyes were bright red at the moment. It was obvious that he had used his eyes too much in this battle. Kakashi said, can you expand on it? Itachi said, Mangekyō Sharingan is the eye that reflects the soul. Everyone's mind is different, and the functions of Mangekyō Sharingan are also different. Similarly, Susanoo who was born based on Mangekyō Sharingan is also different. And every Susanoo will have his own artifact. My artifact is the Ten-Fist Sword. As everyone knows, its function is to seal the enemy into the sword. And the one Uchiha Xiao is holding is, if I guessed correctly, the famous sword demon, Cut. Kakashi asked eagerly, do you know what the specific skills are? Itachi shook his head. I don't know, but according to legend, the famous sword Onikiri is an artifact that has killed evil spirits, so I speculate that the characteristic of this artifact is that it attacks like a ghost and is unpredictable. Onoki said helplessly, you Konoha, you really don't know what to say, why do you have so many strange techniques? The art of resurrecting the dead, the art of throwing meteorites on the ground, the art of flying a Gundam, and now what kind of ghost skills? Onoki saw more secret arts today than he had seen in the past few decades. Kakashi also showed a wry smile, he didn't know many things. The scene changes to the battlefield. After a few rounds, Ninetales' disadvantage has become very obvious. He was almost crushed and beaten by Susanoo throughout the whole process. Respectfully, another sword swung out, enveloping a stream of white air, directly cutting a ferocious gash in Ninetales' chest. Ninetales was in pain, jumped up high, stretched out its claws, and wanted to give Shizuo a hit. Another sword energy appeared out of thin air and struck Ninetales' feet directly. Roar. Ninetales let out a scream and then fell to the ground hard. At this time, Ninetales' body was covered with large and small wounds, and red chakra was escaping from his body. Every time it healed a wound, Uchiha Xiao would cut 2 new wounds on Ninetales' body. Although Uchiha Xiao couldn't see it, he also knew that Ninetales was probably on the verge of death at this time, so he clapped his hands. Wood-style cutting technique. Several huge wooden thorns struck from all directions, directly nailing Ninetales' limbs and drives to the ground. Then Uchiha Xiao slowly walked up to Ninetales. He stretched out his hand, and the word, seat, appeared on his palm. Wood-style Kuoin enters Kuang Shisho. With the release of the technique, Ninetales' violent aura suddenly sank, and his eyelids began to close up and down. Ninetales' chakra began to dissipate, and Naruto's appearance gradually emerged. Uchiha Xiao stepped forward and formed a seal with his hands. Summoning technique Gedo Statue. Gedo Statue was summoned from the base, and as soon as he landed, the surrounding ninjas were surprised. What's this? It's so cold. The smell of this statue. The ninjas could not help but feel chills in their hearts when they looked at the terrifying Gedo statue. Uchiha Xiao continued to form seals with her hands. The 9 seals of the magic dragon are over. Chapter 94. Death of Kakashi. Please subscribe. Then, everyone saw a purple chakra dragon coming out of Gedo statue's mouth. It enveloped Naruto's entire body. Then, the red Ninetales chakra flowed out from Naruto's 7 orifices and was sucked into Gedo statue's mouth. He is absorbing Ninetales chakra. The ninjas of the Hyuga clan saw the red chakra being absorbed by the Gedo statue. What? Jiraiya's body suddenly exuded a terrifying murderous aura. Kakashi's expression became worse. Once the tailed beast was sucked away, it would mean the death of Jinchuriki. On the other side, Uchiha Xiao is absorbing Nine Tails chakra. Suddenly, he felt that the surrounding environment had suddenly changed. Quote exclamation mark quote. Uchiha Xiao immediately became vigilant. At this time, he heard an angry female voice. Why do you want to hurt my son? This place was Naruto's spiritual space, and Kushina was holding Naruto, shouting angrily at Uchiha Xiao, and Naruto fell into Kushina's arms without moving. Uchiha Xiao was a little surprised. He deliberately lifted only half of Nine Tails' seal because he didn't want Kushina to come out. Unexpectedly, as soon as he started to absorb Nine Tails' chakra, he would be pulled into her home court by Kushina in a split second. Is this the power of maternal love? Regarding Kushina's question, Uchiha Xiao was very indifferent. Don't you see? I need to absorb Nine Tails. Hearing Uchiha Xiao's words, Kushina's eyes widened with anger, and her hair strangely floated against gravity. You hurt Naruto, I will never forgive you. Sealing technique. Adamantine sealing chains. After saying that, a dozen golden chains suddenly appeared behind Kushina, and they cut through the air and struck at Uchiha Xiao. Uchiha Xiao watched the chains coming, and he felt a strong sense of danger from these chains. Uchiha Xiao also knows the power of adamantine sealing chains. Adamantine sealing chains is an ability unique to the Uzumaki family. It can be used as both an attack method and a sealing method. Its sealing strength can even suppress Nine Tails. So facing these chains, Uchiha Xiao had to think about it. After all, he has no eyes now and can't see anything. In the real world, Onoki and the others walked quickly towards Uchiha Xiao. At this moment, a wood clone of Uchiha Xiao suddenly came out. Jiraiya said vigilantly. Everyone, be careful about this wood clone. It is very powerful. Wood clone's hands form a seal. Fire-style great fire extinguishes. Fire extinguishing is an upgraded version of fire extinguishing. A meteorite-like fireball spits out from the mouth of wood clone. Everyone saw how extraordinary this fireball was and scattered one after another. Wood clone's eyes light up, waiting for you to disperse. Susanoo, Onoki said in surprise. Can even a clone use Susanoo? However, the wood clone was too lazy to answer him, so Susan swung it with great force, blasting the terrifying power towards Onoki. Onoki created a dust escape with both hands and blasted towards Susanoo. In Naruto's mental space, Uchiha Xiao had already dodged several sealing attacks from Kushina. Whoosh whoosh. Another adamantine sealing chains. Uchiha Xiao also figured out the lock's routine at this time. He kept flashing and rushed towards Kushina while escaping the chain's attack. Bah! Uchiha Xiao punched Kushina through the abdomen. Kushina moaned in pain, and she looked at Uchiha Xiao, with anger, unwillingness, and pleading in her eyes. Finally, she looked at Naruto with apologetic eyes, and then turned into white light and disappeared. As soon as Kushina's mental body disappeared, Uchiha Xiao was instantly pulled back to reality. After his consciousness returned to reality, Uchiha Xiao looked at the Konoha shinobi who was desperately rushing to the side. Uchiha Xiao formed seals with his hands and accelerated the intensity of the 9 sealings of the Phantom Dragon. After a while, the 9 tails chakra on Naruto was completely absorbed, and Naruto soon died. Naruto. Jiraiya let out a roar, and quickly condensed a big ball Rasengan in his hand, and then hit the wood clone with an evil smile on his face. The wood clone was directly destroyed by this blow, but Jiraiya and others were not happy because 9 tails had been taken away by Uchiha Xiao, and Naruto lay limp on the ground without any vitality. Itachi regretted not using distinguished heavenly gods to control Uchiha Xiao earlier, otherwise why would he be in this situation? But now, Uchiha Xiao has no eyes. He wanted to use distinguished heavenly gods, but it was too late. Kakashi looked at this scene, his heart filled with sorrow. In a daze, he seemed to see the faces of Obito and Lin again. Lightning style. Kakashi's hand exploded with lightning, and the originally blue Reikiri suddenly turned purple. Purple lightning. In this moment of great grief, Kakashi developed his own new technique, purple lightning. The purple lightning shines brightly and is even more powerful than Reikiri. Uchiha Xiao sent Gedo statue back to the base. He felt Kakashi rushing towards him, and he praised casually, "It's very exciting. Please give me flowers." After saying that, Susanoo appeared again, and Susanoo picked up the Onikiri in his hand and waved it towards Kakashi. Kakashi jumped up high and avoided the Onikiri, but this time, Kakashi kept an eye on him. Sure enough, the next second, the invisible sword energy struck again, and Kakashi was already prepared for this. He took out the prepared wind-style scroll and released it under him. Call. Relying on the thrust of wind style, Kakashi changed direction in the air and avoided the attack of sword energy. Uchiha Xiao twitched her ears slightly and chuckled. Oh. It seems you know it. Kakashi remained silent, the purple lightning in his hand sizzled, and he quickly fell towards Susanoo. He swore to pieces Susanoo. 0. However, facing the massive Zidian, Uchiha Xiao did not avoid it, but continued to smile. But it seems you have guessed wrong. As soon as he finished speaking, Kakashi's figure suddenly stopped moving, and his body stagnated in midair. Kakashi felt the touch on his body. He felt as if he was being held by something. Kakashi's pupils shrank, he understood. He understood what was so special about Uchiha Xiao's Onikiri. But it was too late. Uchiha Xiao controlled Susanoo to step forward and swing a sword. Kakashi saw that the hot sword light was about to hit his body. He closed his eyes and thought silently in his heart. I'm sorry, teacher. I failed to protect Naruto. I failed to protect Obito and Lin. I am not a qualified Hokage. Want. The red, Onikiri, turned into red light and struck Kakashi. Sixth generation. Lord Hokage. Kakashi. Everyone shouted. Might Guy looked at Kakashi's falling figure, and he unconsciously stretched out his hand, as if he could rescue Kakashi from the air. Kakashi's figure fell in the air, and blood-red flowers bloomed in the air. Seeing Uchiha Xiao holding up Onikiri, as if he was going to continue to pursue Kakashi, Jiraiya immediately formed a seal with his hands and swept Kakashi away with his long white hair. Tick-tock-tock. Kakashi's blood spilled to the ground and dripped on Might Guy's face. At this time, Might Guy only felt a buzzing in his ears. He wiped his face and stared blankly at the blood in his hands. This is Kakashi's Blood IV. Chapter 95. The Eighth Gate, the Door of Death is open. Please subscribe. At that moment, time seemed to stop, and Might Guy's mind recalled every moment with Kakashi. He and Kakashi knew each other when they were children. From the beginning they looked down on each other, but later they cherished each other. They compete in running, guessing, and practice together, and even compare their appetites. The competition that has lasted for decades is the greatest symbol of their friendship. Soon, the picture in his mind came back to that summer 20 years ago, when the two were talking by the river. Might Guy told Kakashi his dissatisfaction with his father, Might Dai. He did so many embarrassing things, that's not youth at all. However, what Kakashi said next made Might Guy remember it until now. Kakashi looked at Might Guy, the golden sunset shining brightly on his white hair. Kakashi smiled and said, but he raised you like this. Your father is the best ninja I have ever seen. All the memories of 130 flashed through Guy's mind. Guy opened his eyes and looked at Uchiha Xiao with eyes full of determination. He is my best friend and rival. As he spoke, Might Guy's body burst into blue steam. Open the door. All the ninjas looked at Guy in surprise, and couldn't help but worry about Guy's health, because Guy had kept the door open for too long today. However, Guy did not stop what he was doing, but continued. 8 inner gates formation. 8th gate. Death gate, open. Guy, the 8th gate, that's it. Yuhi Hong covered her mouth and looked at Might Guy in disbelief. Kakashi was not dead. Fortunately, he was only seriously injured in the previous attack. Medical ninjas were treating Kakashi's injuries. Kakashi forced his eyes open and called Guy's name, Guy. As Guy shouted loudly, strong chakra spread out around him centered on him. Guy looked back at Kakashi, stretched out his thumb, and showed his iconic expression. Kakashi, I won't let anyone hurt you again. Kakashi looked at Guy blankly, tears streaming from his eyes. You are such an idiot. Guy chuckled. Kakashi, it's so unyouthful for you to cry like this. The blue steam on Guy's body immediately turned red, leaping and inspiring like a flame. The ninjas present even smelled a lot of blood. Kakashi knew that this was a sign of blood evaporating. Guy Jonin. Guy. Other ninjas also learned that Guy opened the 8th gate. They knew how powerful Guy's 8th gate was. They also knew that Genin might defeated the 7 ninja swordsmen by himself with the 8th gate. But they know better. As long as the 8th gate is opened, it is equivalent to opening the door to hell. Jiraiya looked at Guy's explosive momentum and asked, Guy, have you decided? Guy nodded heavily. Now, it's time for me to burn my life. Even Onoki, who had been in the dominant position among the ninjas just now, couldn't help but be shocked when he felt the powerful aura on Guy's body. For the first time, such an idea appeared in Onamu's heart. Might Guy can really kill Uchiha. Guy looked at Uchiha Xiao and said as he walked over, Zia Xiao, for the sake of your friends and the village, you, go to hell. I don't know if it's because of 8th gate, but Might Guy's voice is like an ancient beast, deep and loud. Uchiha Xiao felt the aura on Guy's body, and felt the aura that even he felt was dangerous. He didn't show any fear, or even a serious expression, but instead showed a sneer. Because Uchiha Xiao's goal was achieved, he finally lured out the person on the field who was most likely to pose a threat to him. Bang! Whoosh! Guy's figure suddenly disappeared, and a burst of air explosions and small craters arose where he stood. Guy's speed is very fast. Uchiha Xiao has already expected this scene, but Guy's speed is too fast. Without eyes, he can only rely on his perception ability, but his perception ability cannot capture the action at all. Shi Shang. Speed. Guy punched in the air, and instantly, the air exploded, and a cylindrical air cannon hit Uchiha Xiao directly. A blow. A blow from the air. The air cannon hit Susanoo, causing a ripple of air explosion, and a crack appeared on Uchiha Xiao's Susanoo. You know, this is Susanoo's highest defensive state among all states. But that wasn't over yet. Guy quickly punched again. Second speed. It was the same air cannon as before, but the speed and intensity were increased, and there was another powerful roar when it hit Susanoo. 3 speed. The power of the third speed is much greater than that of the first speed. If Uchiha Xiao could still move just now, but under the strong attack of the third speed, even with a Susanna on the outside, Uchiha Xiao could not even form the seal under the strong pressure. Onoki looked at this scene and was shocked in his heart. He originally thought that Konoha had fallen into a state of stagnation, but every time there was a disaster, some strange people would emerge in Konoha. Turn the situation around. Just this might Guy, not to mention the 8th gate, as long as Guy opens the 7th gate, then his old bones have been restrained by Guy. Onoki feels that if he can go back this time, he must discuss with the senior officials to re-evaluate Konoha's strength. 5 speed. Boom. With a strong roar, Uchiha Xiao's Susanoo burst into pieces, and the red giant instantly shattered into pieces. Poof. Even though everything was expected, the strong attack still made Uchiha Xiao spit out blood. Uchiha Xiao touched his ribs, and the thin, soft touch told him that his ribs had been shattered and fractured. Ha! I haven't felt this hurt in a long time. Uchiha Xiao looked at the blood on the ground and smiled instead of getting angry. Onoki and Jiraiya were very surprised why Uchiha Xiao acted as if he was seeking death. With Uchiha Xiao's ninjutsu talent, it was no problem for him to be treated, but Uchiha Xiao was unmoved. However, they didn't think too much about it. Uchiha Xiao's serious injuries were visible to everyone, and they didn't think that Uchiha Xiao could survive in the face of Guy's terrifying strength and speed. The next second, Guy made a starting gesture, and then the strong chakra gathered the bloody steam on Guy's body and condensed it into a mighty dragon head. 2.0 He stepped on the ground with both feet, and the earth shattered in an instant. A big pit appeared where Guy was originally standing, and Guy rushed towards Uchiha Xiao at an extremely fast speed. Night Guy. The mighty red dragon seemed to come alive. Yi Guy rushed towards Uchiha Xiao so fast that even the space was distorted and a long line of red steam escaped from the air. Uchiha Xiao's right eye suddenly opened, and a trace of blood red appeared in the eye socket that should have been empty. Boom. The next second, the red dragon head hit Uchiha Xiao directly. Cough. Uchiha Xiao opened her mouth involuntarily and spit out blood. Guy's offensive was far from over. He put his foot on Uchiha Xiao's chest and pushed Uchiha Xiao away at a speed exceeding the speed of sound. Wherever Guy passed by, there were terrifying cracks in the ground. Chapter 96. Uchiha Xiao was kicked to death. Please subscribe. Boom. A shocking explosion bloomed in the distance, like several tons of TNT exploding. Onoki led the ninjas to fly towards the explosion site. I saw a huge pit there with 2 small dots in the center. All the ninjas rushed over immediately. Guy. I saw Guy lying on the ground. The red steam on his body had dissipated, his shirt was completely torn, and his whole body was the color of coke, and the meridians all over his body were the color of magma. Jiraiya knew that this was Guy setting his life on fire. A ninja stepped forward and walked up to Uchiha Xiao. Taking courage, he felt Uchiha Xiao's breath, and then touched Uchiha Xiao's neck with his fingers. The ninja suddenly showed joy and shouted to Kakashi, Hokage-sama. It has been confirmed that Uchiha is dead. The surrounding ninjas did not show happy expressions after hearing this, but instead showed anxious expressions. After all, Uchiha Xiao had shocked them too much today, and they didn't know if Uchiha Xiao had any other tricks up his sleeve. However, it was not until the ninjas from the medical class came forward to check that they finally confirmed the death of Uchiha Xiao. It is finally over. Great. Sage of 6 Paths bless. I'm alive. This devil is finally dead. The ninjas either knelt down and cheered, or had tears in their eyes. The feeling of surviving the disaster made them feel like they were reborn. The Jonin did not cheer. They looked at Guy's body and silently mourned him in their hearts. Guy's performance can definitely be called a hero of Konoha. There were tears in Yuhi Hong's eyes. After mourning for Guy, she said silently in her heart, Asuma, you can rest in peace, Uchiha Xiao is dead. Although Jiraiya and Kakashi felt relieved about Uchiha Xiao's death, after the battle, they felt endless loneliness in their hearts. One lost his beloved disciple, and the other lost his student and best friend. Kakashi sighed, he was truly alone now, and all the people he cherished were gone. Onoki looked at Guy, the shock in his heart could not calm down for a long time. What a powerful physical skill. What a heroic spirit. Burn your own life and turn into a giant red dragon, destroying this public enemy of the entire ninja world. Onoki looked at the lifeless Guy and said, rest in peace, Konoha's blue beast, might Guy. Even though Onoki had seen a lot of things at his age, he still had to be infected by Guy's strength at this time. However, Onoki looked at Uchiha Xiao's body aside again, and he still felt a little strange in his heart. A terrible thought flashed in Onoki's mind, Uchiha Xiao, is it possible that he just faked his death? Then Onoki immediately shook his head and said to himself, I have been shrouded in the shadow of Uchiha Xiao for so many years, and I actually have such ridiculous ideas. I am really old. Gaara's mood was not calm either. After all, he had just become the Kage not long ago. Even what the Kage was going to do, he was still a little unclear, but when he saw Guy's desperate blow, Gaara understood. Dedication. As a Kage, he would not hesitate to sacrifice his life for the village. The name Might Guy is deeply embedded in the hearts of Onoki and Gaara. Kakashi stood up with difficulty. The wound on his waist was very painful and he could only move reluctantly at this moment. Kakashi lifted Naruto's body up, and when he felt the gradually cold touch, he couldn't help but feel sad. Kakashi, what are you? Jiraiya asked in surprise. Kakashi said, I want to complete the last task given to me by the teacher before his spiritual body dissipates. Jiraiya was confused. Minato's mission. Kakashi said calmly. When the teacher sealed 9 tails, he did not actually seal all of 9 tails on Naruto, but half of them were sealed on himself and half on Naruto. This is to prevent the current situation. When Naruto's 9 tails is drained and he is about to die, the teacher's other half 9 tails can be sealed into Naruto. This should be able to save Naruto. Quote. Jiraiya was stunned. Is there still such an operation? Let me go with you, your current physical condition is not very good. Kakashi nodded tiredly. Jiraiya held Naruto's body against his and followed Kakashi to the side. However, at this moment, a familiar voice suddenly sounded. Who allowed you to seal my 9 tails without permission? Hearing this voice, everyone present couldn't help but tremble in their hearts. The first thought in everyone's heart was, did I hear it wrong? They couldn't accept the fact that Uchiha Xiao was resurrected again, and they all looked sideways into the pothole. I saw Uchiha Xiao's body, which was already cold, turning into a phantom and slowly dissipating like a cloud of smoke. Then, next to the corpse, Uchiha Xiao's figure reappeared. Why, obviously, isn't he dead? The ninjas in the medical class were in disbelief. They had clearly investigated it. This was indeed Uchiha Xiao's body. Uchiha Xiao was indeed dead. However, this is the fact, Uchiha Xiao appears in front of everyone's eyes. The gloomy and powerful chakra emanated from Uchiha Xiao, once again verifying the fact that Uchiha Xiao was not dead. Quote exclamation mark quote. Onoki's inner horror could no longer be expressed in words, and he couldn't help but take a few steps back. Onoki screamed in his heart, why? He has been chasing for decades just to catch up with Uchiha Xiao's strength. However, this resurrection shattered Onoki's inner thoughts. He has never been close to Uchiha Xiao. In Uchiha Xiao's eyes, Onoki is just a passing cloud, not worthy of attention. I love 147 Luo's eyes widened, and the sand armor moved around him involuntarily. The anger in Kakashi and Jiraiya's hearts can't be increased. It happens every time. Every time when they think they have succeeded, Uchiha Xiao will appear at the right time to crush their illusions. The ninjas of Konoha no longer knew what expressions to use to express their feelings at this moment, and their hearts were filled with confusion and hesitation. Many people have even gone insane. It's an illusion, it should be an illusion, haha. Sage of 6 paths, why can't you save us? This ninja world is finished. Dit. Kakashi turned his head suddenly and saw that many weak-willed ninjas had begun to commit suicide. For a moment, blood flowed into rivers, and the blood gathered in the low-lying areas to form a pool of blood. It is not difficult to understand that the appearance of Uchiha Xiao is stranger than any war the Konoha shinobi have experienced. Are the Konoha shinobi afraid of death? No, most of them are ready to die, but when the opponent is an immortal monster who is powerful enough to crush the entire ninja world. The deep sense of powerlessness made them ashamed, and it was this shame that led to their suicide. Uchiha Xiao is like a ghost. Whenever people think they have killed him, he will appear again in various ways. At this time, Uchiha Xiao opened his eyelids. His eyes were not empty. There was a very gray eye in the orbit of his right eye. Chapter 97. Izanagi. Please subscribe. Uchiha Xiao had already expected this scene. When he was resurrected from the crystal coffin, he secretly equipped himself with a Sharingan that he had collected before. This is Uchiha Xiao's plan. Use this Sharingan to trick Might Guy out of his death door. When Uchiha Xiao saw the blue steam on Guy's body turn red, he knew the opportunity had come. He immediately cast Izanagi, setting the anchor point of resurrection at the current condition of his body being intact. Then he became very passive during the battle, just to make Might Guy think that he could kill Uchiha Xiao, and then use this to burst out more powerful power and kill Uchiha Xiao. Uchiha Xiao reached out to his right eye, pulled out the already dark eye, and threw it to the ground. He felt that Incore's chakra was very close. He no longer needs other people's eyes, his own eyes are coming. Itachi looked at Uchiha Xiao's gray eyes, and he immediately recognized him as a member of the Uchiha clan. Itachi exclaimed, it's a Izanagi technique. Everyone around looked at him sideways, and Kakashi was also surprised. Even he, as a Hokage, had never heard of this technique. Kakashi asked, Itachi, is this also your Uchiha's jutsu? Feeling the doubtful glances around him, Itachi nodded. Izanagi, the forbidden technique of the Uchiha clan. When this technique is released, the physical condition at that time can be used as a description point. If the caster dies after being released, the body can also return to the state of that time description point, which can be understood as resurrection from the dead. Everyone was surprised. Onoki wanted to complain at this time. Uchiha had so many weird and powerful techniques, how on earth could he be slaughtered by this young man who looked very weak? Itachi also felt Onoki's gaze, but he ignored it. There is no doubt that the power of Izanagi's technique is obvious to all, and he deceived Guy's ultimate secret without any damage. Itachi continued. However, this requires taking a huge risk, that is, the caster will definitely lose a Sharingan, so the clan lists Izanagi as a forbidden technique. Most people in the clan do not know this technique. Kakashi and others now understood that Uchiha Xiao should have activated Izanagi after seeing the strong aura erupting from Guy. Kakashi secretly sighed. It's really an unsolvable ninjutsu. Guy's last blow before his death, the Night Guy, became his last word, but all of this was worthless because of Uchiha Xiao's resurrection, which made Kakashi feel very worthless for Guy. Onoki thought of the tragic scene of Might Guy, and he couldn't help but angrily said to Uchiha Xiao, you are so despicable. Uchiha Xiao couldn't help laughing after hearing this. Haha, my Tsuchikage-sama, after being a cage for so many years, you should understand that when people are singing the praises of victory, no one cares whether the process is dirty. Besides, isn't ninja synonymous with despicableness? After hearing Uchiha Xiao's words, Onoki was speechless and could only look at Uchiha Xiao angrily, and then quickly formed seals with his hands. Earth-style rock rush. Several rocks suddenly appeared and were thrown directly at Uchiha. Facing ninjutsu, Uchiha Xiao did not use ninjutsu to deal with it, but faced the flying rocks with bare hands. Bang, bang, bang. Uchiha Xiao used his hands and feet to blast these stones as fast as bullets in a few strokes. Then, Uchiha Xiao turned into an afterimage and rushed towards Kakashi, reaching out his hand to grab Kakashi. At this time, Jiraiya was seen standing in front of Kakashi, her hair grew rapidly, and she used Needle Jizo again. However, Uchiha Xiao's strength is no longer what it used to be, and he used his fist against the sharp white sword. Tongtian Fist. The blue chakra wrapped around Uchiha Xiao's fist, and turned into a blue stream of light under Uchiha Xiao's punch, hitting the sharp hair straight. Boom. Jiraiya's hair broke again. Although Jiraiya's defense could not be broken, the strong impact was still transmitted to Jiraiya's body through the defense. HMPH. Jiraiya closed his mouth tightly, but blood still flowed from the corners of his mouth. Just when Uchiha Xiao was about to throw his second punch, there were bursts of sound from the side. Shigur with sand bombs. A large number of round sand bullets were fired at Uchiha Xiao like machine guns. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Uchiha Xiao rolled several times to avoid the attack of sand bombs. At this time, Onoki and Gaara also stood in front of Kakashi. If you want to catch 9 tails, you have to pass this test first. Onoki looked at Uchiha Xiao and said. Gaara didn't speak, but his attitude seemed to be the same as Onoki's. Jiraiya smiled, then turned back to Kakashi and said, Kakashi. Let's hold him back, you go and complete your mission. Kakashi nodded, then endured the pain, mobilized chakra, and ran quickly in one direction. That direction was the ruins of the Uzumaki clan. Although many ninjas have the will to fight, they still feel a deep sense of powerlessness when facing Uchiha Xiao. Even Gai Jonin couldn't solve Uchiha Xiao by opening the 8th gate. What can ordinary ninjas like them do? But when they saw Jiraiya and the 2 cages standing in front of the formation, they knew they had nothing to fear. I am very confident, so I have to be more serious. As he spoke, Uchiha Xiao clapped his hands, and the complete Susanoo appeared again. Uchiha Xiao controlled Susan and pulled out the Onikiri from his waist. Hang! Accompanied by the crisp sound of the sword, the moment the sword was pulled out, a strong chakra aura erupted from the blade. The momentum spread out with Susanoo as the center as all the Onikiri were pulled out. Boom! Many ninjas were immediately frightened and fell to the ground as if they were struck by lightning. Those with a slightly stronger will were also sweating and trembling. The pressure that was finally raised dropped again. Jiraiya shouted. Don't be afraid, everyone. Buy time for Hokage-sama. Among the ninja troops, a few sparse escape techniques landed on Susanoo without causing any ripples. Susan held the Onikiri high, and then slashed it down hard at everyone in Jiraiya. Empty sand defense wall. Gaara waved his hand, and a huge amount of yellow sand suddenly appeared, forming a huge circular sand wall. King Zhao's Gaara's forehead was dripping with sweat. Apparently this technique consumed a lot of his chakra. Susanoo's raised hand swung down heavily, and with a blazing red light, the Onikiri struck the sand wall hard. Boom! A concave mark quickly appeared on the surface of the sand wall. Gaara raised his hands high, and his hands were shaking. Despite his efforts, the sharp edge of the Onikiri slowly penetrated through the sand wall. Onoki couldn't sit still anymore, he clapped his hands, and a ball with white light appeared in his hands. Dust escape limited stripping technique. The ball quickly expanded into a long beam of light, like a qigong wave, which hit Onikiri directly. The next second, dust-emitting white light burst out, and the 10 segments of Onikiri directly turned into atoms. Because there was a big hole missing, the entire knife broke directly. Onoki did not stop, but continued to increase the amount of chakra in his hand. After destroying Uchiha Xiao's weapon, Onoki continued to control the dust escape to hit Uchiha Xiao's tail. Chapter 98. Konoha's desperate situation. Please subscribe. Drink. Onoki roared and mobilized all the chakra in his body to his hands. The next second, the white beam of light became brighter, and the beam of light quickly struck Susanoo's body. The full-body Susan with heavy defenses was directly cut in half. Soon, the red light faded, and Uchiha Xiao's Susan disappeared directly. At this moment, Gaara moved his hands, and the ninjutsu was seamlessly connected. Hands of sand. The yellow sand condensed into a giant hand and grabbed Uchiha Xiao directly. Gaara then continued to wave her hands. Sand prison shooting. I saw the yellow sand condensed into a huge spiral sand gun. If this sand gun can hit Uchiha Xiao, Gaara guarantees that Uchiha Xiao's body will be beyond recognition. However, this was all Gaara's idea. Uchiha Xiao secretly mobilized the chakra in the giant hand, and then saw the appearance of the sand hand rising and falling, as if boiling. Bang! With an explosion from the hand of sand, Uchiha breaks free unharmed. Gaara looked shocked. Uchiha Xiao actually made the yellow sand bound on her body collapse with just chakra. And just as Uchiha Xiao fell from the sky, two figures were galloping towards him. Uchiha Xiao's ears twitched slightly, and she heard from the footsteps that 177 was Jiraiya and Itachi. Uchiha Xiao was a bit surprised that these people were still so motivated to fight even though the most powerful might guy was dead. First, Jiraiya's old fist struck, and Uchiha Xiao stretched out his hand to catch it. At this time, Itachi appeared from the side and stabbed Uchiha Xiao's waist with a kunai. Snapped. Although it was so fast, Itachi's hand was still caught by Uchiha Xiao. Rise. Grasping the arms of the two people, Uchiha Xiao raised his arms and swung the two people in the air like a windmill. Then he let go and the two figures flew out. The two people flew out like two cannonballs, and then hit the ground hard. Universe Boxiao shook his legs and turned into an afterimage and ran towards the two of them. It's coming. Jiraiya warned with a loud shout, then put his hands in front of him to show his posture. Itachi also slowly stood up beside him. He didn't have much chakra at this time, and he had to use the last chakra on the blade. Uchiha Xiao quickly arrived in front of Jiraiya. Uchiha Xiao stepped on the ground vigorously, causing a burst of dust to splash into Jiraiya's eyes. Jiraiya lost his vision without any precautions. Then, a powerful punch punched directly into Jiraiya's chest. Boom! Jiraiya's figure flew out, and it was only then that Itachi began to attack Uchiha Xiao. It's not because Itachi's support was too late, it was because Uchiha Xiao's speed was too fast. The two used fists and kicks, and the sounds of breaking through the air and hitting were endless, but Itachi could only hold on with Sharingan's advantage. Within a few rounds, Itachi was also kicked away. His taijutsu is too strong. Jiraiya lifted Itachi up from the ground and said. The Uchiha clan's physical skills have always been very sophisticated. What's more, Uchiha Xiao also has sufficient chakra and a strength comparable to the first Hokage. How can they compare? Originally there was a might guy on the field who could compete with Uchiha Xiao, but now that guy is dead, no one can beat Uchiha Xiao in physical skills. Uchiha Xiao felt Onoki and Gaara coming behind him, and he formed a seal with his hands. Free immortal technique. After saying that, a burst of black patterns appeared on Uchiha Xiao's face, which not only did not make his appearance worse, but also gave Uchiha Xiao a sense of evil charm. Jiraiya was shocked. He didn't expect Uchiha Xiao to know how to Sage Mode. And he seemed to be very practiced, unlike him. Jiraiya had all kinds of restrictions. In fact, it didn't take long for Uchiha Xiao to master Sage Mode. This was figured out by himself based on the memories of his previous life after he mastered Wood Style. However, Sage Mode is just the icing on the cake for Uchiha Xiao. The advantage is that it can increase attack methods and is easy to control, so Uchiha Xiao has figured out his own magic. If Jiraiya knew this, Jiraiya would probably die of inferiority complex. Not only did it take a lot of time for Jiraiya to master Senjutsu, but he also didn't master it completely, and there were many frog characteristics on his face. This is a sign that Sage Mode didn't master it well, CBAC. Uchiha Xiao clapped his hands, and then powerful chakra began to erupt from his body. Sage art through several thousand hands. With the roar of the earth, a Buddha's head rose up from the ground, followed by the Buddha's body. The gazes of the ninjas are also rising higher and higher, and their mouths can be opened wide enough to drop an egg. This is a very large statue of Guanyin. With the thousands of giant arms behind Guanyin, the entire statue is more than 1,000 meters long. Many ninjas fell to the ground and shouted that Uchiha Xiao was invincible. Isn't this the first generation's technique? Heaven is going to destroy my Konoha. Onoki's eyes were wide open, his pupils and Adam's apple were trembling. How many moves did this Uchiha Xiao have yet to unleash? Wood Style on such a scale. Jiraiya also felt powerless. Even if he summoned the largest toad in Mount Myoboku, it was as big as a toy in front of the true several thousand hands, which was more than 1,000 meters away. Itachi's face was as calm as usual, but for some reason it also had an aura of despair. Uchiha Xiao stood on the head of Guanyin. He felt the ant-like sentient beings on the ground and murmured, "This is the feeling of Hashirama, it's not bad." After feeling the air in the upper floors, Uchiha Xiao thought, and chakra began to mobilize. In the horrified eyes of all the ninjas, 1,000 giant arms behind Guanyin moved, and the arms turned into fists and faced all living beings on the earth. Uchiha Xiao clapped his hands and shouted, "Become a Buddha on the top." All fists were aimed at the ground, and missiles were discharged directly to the ground. Onoki quickly used dust release to clear some arms, and Gaara also activated his empty sand barrier to block part of the arms. However, in front of thousands of arms, these methods were only a drop in the bucket. Soon, the arms hit the ground. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. Along with the roar, one giant arm hit the ground. In an instant, the earth shattered and the mountains collapsed. Countless ninjas not only died under the fists, but also were buried under the cover of the rocks. Although Uchiha Xiao couldn't see it, he knew that it must be like hell on earth down there, but he didn't have any trouble in his heart. He was just wondering whether the enemies had been killed. To be honest, he was a little bored now. In the ruins below, the ninjas were dead and wounded, and mourners were everywhere. Some people were surrounded under rocks and suffocated to death. Medical ninjas rushed around to treat people's injuries. In the noisy environment, Jiraiya opened his blurred vision and touched his abdomen. He was pierced by a rock. It was not resolved when he fainted. Now he has lost too much blood. Itachi was also lying on the ground at this time. He didn't have much chakra left on his body. He spent a lot of chakra while avoiding the Buddha on the top. He was now trying to hide his aura as much as possible. At this time, the smoke dispersed, and he clearly saw Uchiha Xiao standing on the Buddha's head. A stream of blood flowed from Itachi's right eye, and the three magatama in his eye began to slowly combine, turning into the shape of a Fuma Shuriken. Chapter 99. Naruto returns. Please subscribe. Itachi aimed his gaze at Uchiha Xiao. When he opened his eyes, the whites of his eyes suddenly became densely filled with bloodshot eyes. Amaterasu. However, Uchiha Xiao seemed to be aware of Itachi's attack first, as the Guanyin statue stretched out its hand and blocked Itachi's Amaterasu. Itachi's eyes widened. The Tsukuyomi shot just now had used up the last of his chakra. He looked at Uchiha Xiao, who was still aloof. Itachi's eyes showed unwillingness, and then he fainted, passed away. However, Itachi's attack was still somewhat effective. At least under the never-extinguishing Amaterasu, the flames of Amaterasu continued to spread. It seemed that this Guanyin was no longer available. Uchiha Xiao jumped down from a high altitude and landed firmly on the ground. As soon as he landed on the ground, Uchiha Xiao began to use the sensory ninjutsu. Injecting chakra to expand the range of perception, he quickly sensed Jiraiya's chakra. He also sensed that Jiraiya's chakra was very weak at this time, and he must have been seriously injured. Whoosh! Uchiha Xiao turned into an afterimage and ran towards Jiraiya's position. Gaara was also lying on the ground at this time. There were many cracks on his face. The sand armor was so broken. He obviously suffered a lot of injuries. He saw Uchiha Xiao's running figure. He stretched out his arms. Arm. Sand bound. The sand wrapped around Uchiha Xiao's legs, but he didn't care about it. With a little force, he broke free of the sand. He ignored Gaara and flew towards Jiraiya's location. With a flick of his sleeve, the black stick slipped into his hand. Soon, Uchiha Xiao sensed that Jiraiya was not far away. Whoosh! Uchiha Xiao came to Jiraiya with a body flicker technique. Jiraiya raised his head with difficulty. He looked at Uchiha Xiao's handsome face. He coughed slightly and coughed up a string of blood drops. Then Jiraiya showed a forced smile. Shout, you're not that handsome. Uchiha Xiao had no expression on his face. He lifted the black stick and pointed it at Jiraiya's heart using his perception ability. Whoosh! A strong piercing sound suddenly appeared from his ears, and Uchiha Xiao quickly raised his arm. Boom! A huge force spread from his arms to his whole body, and Uchiha Xiao flew backwards uncontrollably. Uchiha Xiao rolled a few times in the air, and then landed firmly. After landing, he quickly expanded his perception to the direction where he had just been attacked, trying to sense who was coming. Uchiha Xiao was slightly shocked. This chakra was very familiar, but it was very powerful at this moment. Naruto! Naruto! Jiraiya said in surprise. Pervy Sage. Naruto shouted happily when he saw Jiraiya, and Kakashi behind him also had a smile on his face. Jiraiya couldn't help but beam with joy. Kakashi was right. You are really resurrected. But. Saying that, Jiraiya looked around Naruto's whole body curiously. Naruto was seen wearing a golden chakra coat, and Jiraiya could feel the rich nine tails chakra from it. Just when Jiraiya was about to ask a question, Naruto interrupted. Naruto scratched his head and said, I was saved by an old man named Six Paths. Six Paths old man. Jiraiya rubbed his chin. At this time, Jiraiya was surprised to find that Kakashi was actually different from before. Jiraiya asked in surprise, Kakashi, how did your wound heal? And why did your left eye grow again? Kakashi smiled and said, haha, it's all thanks to Naruto. Jiraiya looked at Naruto and saw Naruto smiling. By the way, Pervy Sage, let me help you heal your injuries. Jiraiya smiled bitterly and said, don't be joking, I don't know whether you know medical ninjutsu or not. Naruto walked up to Jiraiya with a smile. He stretched out his hand and pressed it on Jiraiya's body. Jiraiya's originally confused expression suddenly turned into shock. This is, because he felt a strong vitality flowing through his whole body, like a warm current, and all the painful places became extremely warm. No matter external or internal injuries, or even hidden wounds from many years ago, they were all healed by this vitality. The palm left Jiraiya's body, and Jiraiya saw the white dot in Naruto's palm. Open black lens bracket. What did you just say, old man six paths? Jiraiya asked. Naruto nodded. He said he was the ancestor of ninjas and the god of creation. Anyway, his name has the words six paths. Hearing this, Jiraiya was a little confused. This was because he had met Sage of Six Paths. Combined with this, Jiraiya was even more certain in his heart that Naruto was the child of destiny that Toad-sen said. Jiraiya looked at Kakashi, who looked at him. Jiraiya's confidence suddenly increased. Since Naruto is the child of destiny, a character like Uchiha Xiao who doesn't even have prophecies is just a stumbling block for Naruto. Please give me flowers. Uchiha Xiao also knew what happened to Naruto. Because of Ashura's reincarnation, Naruto saw Sage of Six Paths directly before dying, and then Sage of Six Paths gave Naruto Six Paths chakra. No wonder this chakra is both mysterious and mysterious. Uchiha Xiao thought to herself. At this time, Naruto cast Shadow Clone, and then the Shadow Clone scattered. Jiraiya asked. Naruto, what are you going to do? Naruto said. I plan to share Nine Tails chakra with everyone so that you can heal quickly. Uchiha Xiao did not act on this. Although the chakra on Naruto was mysterious and huge, he did not feel that Naruto could threaten him. 0.00. Soon, Naruto's shadow clone found Gaara, Onoki and others. Naruto. Gaara saw Naruto was still alive, a smile appeared on his face. Naruto smiled at him, and then transmitted the Nine Tails chakra to Gaara, and Gaara's injuries healed instantly. On the other side, another shadow clone found Onoki. Onoki relied on his powerful dust escape and had no injuries on his body, but the chakra had been completely exhausted. As soon as Naruto came, the Nine Tails chakra immediately filled Onoki's chakra, and Naruto also used the power of Yang to heal Onoki's waist injury. Naruto's countless shadow clones were scattered around, as if they were doing charity. Nine Tails chakra was given away to everyone as if it was free of charge. All the ninjas who were not dead received Naruto's gifts. Nine Tails chakra also appeared on Jiraiya's body. Feeling the majestic chakra on his body, Jiraiya asked, Naruto, have you mastered Nine Tails Ligao? Naruto scratched his head and smiled. Yes, Kurama has recognized me. However, as soon as he finished speaking, Nine Tails' voice sounded in the spiritual world. You brat, I'm not agreeing with you. I just wanted to knock Uchiha Xiao down before giving the chakra to you so that I could get the other half of the chakra back. Don't get too carried away. Nine Tails' yelling made Naruto a little embarrassed. He then said, sorry. He comforted the angry Nine Tails. At this time, Naruto turned his head and looked at Uchiha Xiao. He stretched out his fist and shouted energetically. I told you, I will beat you up. Uchiha Xiaoru. Chapter 100. Upgrade while sitting on the ground, the power of six paths. Please subscribe. Uchiha Xiao almost laughed out loud. Naruto was already cold at that time. Even if he was resurrected inexplicably, a sage of six paths suddenly appeared. It can only be said that he is worthy of being the son of the plane. After resurrection, the plugin will be directly credited to the account in seconds, and it is also the highest version of Six Paths mode. And he, Uchiha Xiao, didn't know how much effort he spent to get a Rinnegan, and Naruto only needed to die once to get the number 1 cheat in the ninja world, which had to make Uchiha Xiao a little unhappy. At this time, Uchiha Xiao sensed something, and then looked outside the battlefield. There was a commotion outside, and countless ninjas wearing Nine Tails chakra were shot away. A man with a childish face and a long stick on his back wanted to force his way in. At this time, someone recognized who it was. It's actually Mizukage, Yagura from the previous generation. Many ninjas looked shocked. Wasn't Yagura already killed by Mist Shinobi's mob? How could he appear in this? 960. Shikaku had just recovered from his injuries. He saw Yagura's eyes, and the circles in them were like ripples, which made Chenju convinced why Shan was here. Shikaku immediately issued an order. No matter who he is, don't let him in. He is the container for Uchiha Xiao's eyes. He deduced from Yagura's head against Rinnegan and Uchiha Xiao's eyes tightly closed that this Yagura was probably giving Uchiha Xiao eyes, and Yagura could not be allowed in. Shikaku immediately issued an order. Everyone, attack Yagura's eyes. Yes, Konoha shinobi are all gearing up. They can't beat Uchiha Xiao's strength. Although Yagura is also Kage level, there are so many people in Konoha now. They can't solve the cold even with Jixen. Shikaku formed a seal with his hands, shadow imitation technique. The shadow on the soles of the feet began to extend rapidly, rushing towards Yagura's shadow. Yagura glanced at it, then rolled back to avoid it. At the same time, other ninjas also threw kunai and shuriken at Yagura's eyes. While dodging the shadows, Yagura used the long stick in his hand to knock away the flying ninja tools with ease. Seeing this, the seal gestures of Lu Ju's hands suddenly changed. Tentacle of Shadow. The tentacles that were originally close to the ground suddenly poked their heads out, like several sharp swords piercing Yagura's eyes. Yagura picked up the stick and smashed it on the ground 3 times. Coral wall. A beautiful coral rose up from the ground, and the shadow tentacles had no choice but to retract after hitting the coral. At this time, several Konoha shinobi attacked Yagura from the side. Just as Yagura was resisting them, a ninja suddenly jumped out from the side, formed seals with his hands, and then blew out a cloud of purple smoke. Ninja technique. Poison mist. The other Konoha shinobi retreated one after another as if they had expected it, and the poisonous mist headed straight for Yagura. The ninja secretly laughed in his heart. This poisonous mist was highly corrosive, and it was more than enough to melt a pair of eyes. However, Yagura simply formed two seals, then opened his mouth and spit out a blast of wind. Wind style as soon as the typhoon passes. The strong typhoon directly blew away all the poisonous mist, and Konoha itself had to avoid the sharp edge of the poisonous mist. At this time, Yagura began to fight back. He formed seals with his hands and a water mirror appeared out of thin air. Water-style water mirror technique. Lu Ju looked at the water mirror in confusion. The next second, a strange person walked out of the mirror. Lu Ju paused, he really had never seen this technique before. One advantage of Karigakure's seclusion is that many of Mist Shinobi's information is not known to people in other villages, so strategic resources such as secret techniques are well protected. Soon, more and more ninjas emerged from the water mirror, and they were all from the surrounding Konoha shinobi. Shikaku naturally met Shikaku in the water mirror. Shikaku didn't pay much attention to it at first, he just thought it was a psychedelic enemy combination of clone technique and transformation technique. However, just when Shikaku used the shadow seam technique to defeat the fake Shikaku, he saw that the fake Shikaku also used the shadow seam technique. What? Lu Ju did not believe in evil and continued to release several family secret techniques, but without exception, they were copied and pasted by the other party. The more they fight, the more frightened Shikaku becomes. Apart from the fact that the fake Shikaku has no expression, his appearance has all the details, and even his strength is exactly the same as the real Shikaku. The surrounding ninjas were also in this predicament, fighting against their own equal strength, leaving them unable to take action to stop Yagura. After a few rounds of fighting, Shikaku also understood the shortcomings of this technique. Although Shujing can copy a person's appearance and even strength, it cannot copy a person's intelligence. Shikaku's mind was spinning very fast. He immediately thought of a plan and quickly defeated his water mirror clone. Shikaku immediately loudly announced his discovery. Following Shikaku's reminder, the other ninjas quickly eliminated the water mirror clone. Yagura raised his hand and made a pistol gesture with his fingers. Shikaku had to be alert. He really didn't know much about Mist Shinobi's technique. Water-style iron cannon. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. A fist-sized water cannon condensed on the fingertips, and then shot out quickly, like bullets. Although the Konoha shinobi were blessed by the Nine Tails chakra, Yagura was still a shadow of his strength. After 10 attacks, several ninjas still died. Lu Ju secretly said trouble, and then he ran with his legs, avoiding the attack while thinking of countermeasures. Although they can't defeat Yagura now, they have dragged Yagura here anyway. The ultimate goal is to prevent him from contacting Uchiha Xiao. However, at this moment, Yagura was suddenly startled, and then a glimmer of light appeared in his originally dull eyes. Several ninjas and Shikaku found an angle and suddenly attacked the doctor. But Yagura stretched out his hand at this time and said lightly. Shinra Tenzheng. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. Lu Ju's face suddenly looked shocked. Boom. An extremely powerful repulsive force suddenly erupted, directly knocking all Shikaku's ninjas away. It's really troublesome, Yagura said, his tone full of coldness. Obviously, this was Uchiha Xiao directly controlling Yagura. He had just discovered that Yagura's chakra was stagnant outside, and he immediately understood that Yagura was entangled. Whoosh. Yagura jumped into the battlefield and rushed to Uchiha Xiao's side. When Naruto saw another person coming, 2.7 became wary. Yagura, Kakashi and Onoki looked shocked. Who is it? Naruto asked, scratching his head. The fourth Mizukage, logically speaking, should be dead. Onoki looked at Yagura and said. At this time, Onoki's face was startled. He pointed at Yagura with trembling fingers and said, Rinnegan. Only then did everyone realize that Yagura's eyes were exactly the same eyes that Uchiha Xiao had before he was resurrected. Uchiha Xiao stretched out his hand, directly hollowed out Yagura's eyes, and then pressed them on his own eyes. Uchiha Xiao closed his eyes, feeling the familiar power coming back, and murmured. What about the power of 9 tails? What about the power of 6 paths? Uchiha Xiao opened her eyes, and her purple eyes revealed an evil light. I can't do it, right Aeroflot to cancel.